All right, let's do this. We're recording. You watch the channel, I got to do it.
Yeah, man.
I'm here with Buck. Here with Buck. The YouTube channel is Tattoos in Review,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Okay, I
Yep.
didn't mess it up. Okay.
Nope, you got it.
I'm a little dyslexic, so it's like I'll just like switch up words all the time. But yeah, man, we were just starting our conversation about naming the channel something different. I so feel you on that. And you were saying you don't want to review other people's tattoos. I should say for anybody listening, the same way Joe Rogan gets into bow hunting or, anything that he's into, cars. This is how I am with tattoos. I love tattoos. So this is going to be a very tattoo heavy episode. We jump all over the place, of course, in the tinfoil Speedo experience, but I'm really, really into tattoos. So really excited to talk to you, man.
Right on. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, not a problem, man. So yeah, the channel's called Review Tattoos in Review.
Yep.
And I'm just trying to pull up the screen here. I want to actually share it for everybody. And you said you don't like to review people's tattoos, and that causes like confusion with the name and everything.
Yeah, it used to at the beginning. Not so much anymore. A lot of my stuff is very tattoo history oriented.
Sick.
So I'm not a tattoo artist. I never claimed to be. There's multiple times on, different episodes that I talk about that. And for me, it doesn't feel right to, critique somebody else's work. I'll give people props on their tattoo work. But as far as like critiquing, that's not really my thing. There's plenty of other channels out there that do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll let those guys do that, and I'll keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's hard to and that's the YouTube channel there, guys. Why is this? Oh, I'm on a different profile. Let me hit that. Boom. Hit that subscribe for everybody.
Oh man, you weren't even subscribed.
Not on this one. I have one profile for one channel, and then like I was
I
telling
got
you, I had another channel. Now I got a different profile there.
right
But
on.
yeah, man. I know what you mean when it comes to reviewing people's tattoos. I used to watch a lot of what was that tattoo show called? It was Inkmaster. I
Mm-hmm.
used to love watching that, and it was always crazy to see them like critiquing it with the person there. And it was like, man, how would you feel? You just got tattooed. Maybe you're
I
happy with it, and then they like, so Dave Navarro's like, this tattoo's terrible. And you're like,
Yeah. So funny thing about that show is, I know a bunch of older guys that when that show first started, it was presented to them as like a tattoo competition. And
yeah,
they were like, oh, wow, that's kind of cool, man. Because the old days of conventions, they used to do, they still do actually, but, judging tattoos. And they thought, okay, that's what it was going to be. And
mm-hmm.
then the producers kind of came back to them and they started talking about artificial drama, I guess we could call it,
Yes,
where they were trying to stir the pot and they were like, you know what? I'm not really down with that. Um, I think that there were a lot of, younger tattoo artists back in the day that were hungry and went, you know what, this is a great way to push my work out to the public. And they took advantage of it. And I can't fault them for that at all.
yeah.
I think that anybody that wants to try to promote themselves has to do what you have to do, right? There are some older guys that think it was kind of a, it watered down tattooing a little bit. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that though.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, listen, if you're like an old head in that space, and then you see people who are in this competition and they're artificial drama and all that stuff, like obviously that's how you're going to see it, because it's a little bit like, well, it's not a little bit, it is reality TV at that
Mm-hmm.
point, right?
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you got kind of like a Jersey Shore scene kicking off where two tattoo artists are getting in each other's faces and stuff. And it's like, I could definitely see how that would water it down. It would be a little embarrassing, right? Imagine you're one of these artists, you're an apprentice, and your mentor is watching you. Mentor would probably be like, it's a little, especially they know like a little bit of manufactured and whatnot. They'd be like, I don't really like this too much.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that a majority of the people that were on Inkmaster, I would I would assume, were tattooing for like 5 years or maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody was fresh out of the gate. To be fair, I didn't really watch it that much. I think I might have watched it at the beginning, but to me, it was just not really what I was into.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's not a rub or knock on it at all. It served its purpose. It still does, actually. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, when I would watch that show, it was all for the art of it. I
yeah,
love watching people do their thing. I like the high pacedness of it, but yeah, I love tattoos. I don't have enough. I think.
yeah.
But I love them, man. I love seeing tattoos. So tell me, how did you get started in this whole thing?
So I've been getting tattooed since '92.
Wow.
I started to get tattooed then. I was 18 years old. My first tattoo was done by this lady. She was in this little town. The week before, she had tattooed Lita Ford, which was like a big woo. You know what I mean?
Who is that?
Uh, so Lita Ford actually was a '80s metal girl. She did a song with Ozzy Osbourne, ironically enough, that just passed away.
Wow. Rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So, that was a big deal for me back then, and I got something completely stupid. I'm not gonna lie. I tell people all the time about this. It's been covered over since, but I wound up getting a Tasmanian devil with the barbell above its head, like, because back then that was like the thing, was to get like these cartoon characters. And it kind of started from there. I started to go to different tattoo shops. I started to become friends with different tattoo artists. And I would always hear these really cool stories about the history of it. And then, you know, I think that had I did better in school, I probably would have became a history teacher.
Mhm.
I unfortunately was one of those kids that was more worried about like partying and playing football and didn't take school serious enough. I mean, I am college educated. It's just I could have been, better at
Yeah.
school. Um, so for years I've heard all these really cool stories, and there's some books out there, but there wasn't a lot of stuff out there. People need to realize that this thing was very word of mouth. It started with basically carnival type people, sideshow people, and we can get into that more in a little bit. But um, I wound up having back surgery, and I had already had a background in audio. I did sound for cover bands, and I toured professionally for about 11 years, almost 12 years. So I knew the audio part. I didn't really know the video part. And
Mm.
I had back surgery, and I knew I was going to be laid up for a while. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to teach myself how to do something. And boom, here we are.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I love hearing stuff like that, man. So what? You were just like laid up and you're just like, okay, let me just get like a camera or did you start out just audio?
No, I jumped right into it. And to be fair, I probably went the hardest route I possibly could. Like, uh, I, I started using DaVinci Resolve, which is really hard to
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah.
A lot of frustration and nights staying up, just like wanting to like throw my computer out the window.
Yep.
Um, but then I started to look more into, hey, why does this not look right? Oh, you probably should have had your camera set up better. So I started looking into that. And then, I really started off using my phone, just like most people that get involved with YouTube do. I mean,
Yeah.
you start with your phone, you know, this right here is probably like better than most cameras that you could spend $1,000 on. I've since moved
Yeah.
on from that, but I only moved on from that because I couldn't figure out a better way to get audio. To me, it didn't matter if I was using my phone, the audio that was accessible to me. Like, come to find out later on, I probably could have got a better like DJI wireless setup or something. But
Yeah.
at the time, I just didn't, and that's the only reason I moved away to like a legit camera.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's actually really funny. Yeah. You can you know, for anybody watching out there, he's actually right about the phone because you know how to use your phone really well already. A lot of people
Hmm.
know how to use their phones really well already. You're proficient with your phone. So now you're just kind of going to the camera that you've gone to before, and you're just using, maybe a different function. Maybe you take a lot of videos already. And then the next thing you know, you're just kind of using that. So I would definitely tell people, like, I was an independent videographer. I'm a self-taught videographer. I started with audio like you, and then right away jumped to video. It's pretty much within the same year, but I started out as an audio guy. My first mentor was a straight up audio guy, no video mentor whatsoever. And yeah, that, like, there was 2 years where I only used, and this was for clients, for everything, conferences, everything. I only used 2 Google Pixel phones. That's it. And I would
Okay.
have those little wireless mics that people would have, and I'd go and I'd help people do interviews, and I'd produce those things, I'd direct things, and just with 2 Google Pixels, have tripods for them, little things that clamp onto them, and I would do everything like that.
I
You know?
still use a Google Pixel.
Yeah, yeah,
There's times where if I do an interview, I'll use my regular camera setup, but to shoot like B-roll of them
yeah,
tattooing,
exactly.
I'll use my Google Pixel just because it has, a lot of cooler functions with stability and like slow-mo, stuff like
Yeah,
that, easy to use.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's interesting. So then you started up doing that. So you're laid up. So what's going on? Like, what are you just doing? Are you just talking about tattoos? Are you just looking into the history? Like, how does all that start?
Yeah, well, so like I said, I had already had like a slight background of through stories and stuff like that that I had heard over the years. I have a buddy of mine that I do our live stream on Sunday nights with. We do a live stream every Sunday. We call it Two Fat Guys in a Tattoo Shop. He's another big boy just like me. Um, he has a pretty incredible library in his shop of history books of tattooing, Flash, so it was easy for me to get some of that info off of him. And then, like you scrub the internet. Um, that's kind of where I started it. Uh, what I did first was I would shoot different videos and stuff like that around the house and then throw it in the editor and figure out, okay, that worked, that didn't work. What
Yeah,
was really tricky for me though was figuring out what to do with YouTube.
yeah,
Uh,
of course.
YouTube is still one of those things that you're a much bigger channel than I am. I'm still small. I'm still growing.
Yeah.
And just until recently, I really didn't even have like what I would consider to be like a blow up video. So, there's a lot of people think that you just hit record and just throw it out there and
Oh
it's
yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's not. I kind of was under the impression that titles and thumbnails didn't mean a lot. But somebody had said to me one time, hey, you know what? You know, Martin Scorsese could make the greatest movie ever made. But if the title and the trailer and the movie poster didn't work, it didn't look good, nobody goes see it. And I'm
Yep.
like, huh, okay, that makes sense. So I
Yeah.
started to put a little bit more into that, and here we are.
Yeah, it has a tremendous effect. A lot of people don't realize the effect that you're like. As soon as I dialed in my titles and my thumbnails, I started really working on brand recognition and all that type of stuff. I
Mhm.
noticed a dramatic increase in revenue and views and engagement and everything. So it's a huge part of the battle. A lot of people think they're like, I've seen so many comments like, I wish I could just play clips, and I'm like, try it. I'm like, I'll help
It's
you.
not that easy.
I've had so many people say that, and I'll be like, I'll help you if you want to do it. If you want to do it,
Right.
I'll help you. I'm like, email me. I'll show you exactly what to do. Let's see how
Right.
far you get. It's tough. It's very tough, man.
Yeah, there's a lot more to this YouTube game than just press and record. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So when it comes to tattooing, I don't even know what I want to. I just know I love tattoos. So you know about the history of tattooing. Do you know when it started, or is that just like back to like caveman times and like,
Okay. So this is where it kind of gets interesting, okay?
okay,
And I just want to preface this with I am no expert by any means. Like there are people out there, Matt Lauder's one of them. He's written books on tattooing.
wow,
I actually have two of his books here. I'll kind of show them to you guys in a second, but Um, if I don't know, I will tell you I don't know, or I'll say, hey, this is my interpretation,
Yeah.
because I never want to come off as like the subject matter expert that this
Mhm.
guy knows everything. I don't. I still learn every day. So tattooing has actually been around for thousands of years. There
Yeah.
was a mummified body that they found, uh, Utsi, uh, the Iceman. Some people call it Otzi,
Okay.
uh,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah, I've heard of
it's
this.
I believe it's pronounced Utsi because it's
Mhm.
got the umlauts. So they found him, tattoos. Now they weren't like crazy intricate stuff. They thought, they think that a lot of it had to do with, during that time frame, it was for medicinal purposes because a lot of it was like on joints and stuff like that. Um, then they found Egyptian mummies that had actually been in the museum for years, that they didn't know they had tattoos on them until they got this new type of scan, ran the mummies through the scan, and found out, oh man, they have a bunch of tattoos on them.
Wow.
Um, there was another, the Ukak princess, which would have been like right around Russia, that area, the edge of Russia.
Okay.
Um, she had some of the most, some of the, how do I put this? She had tattoos that look kind of like what we have today. So that was
Cool.
like the first time that was really, really like picturesque kind of tattoos. Now, then you skip forward, and obviously during that time frame, there was still tattooing going on in like the islands, South Africa, distant places that most people had not been to. And then Cook starts to sail around, and they wind up coming back into port, and all those guys, not all those guys, but a majority of them started to get tattoos while they were sailing to these foreign lands.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
What was that princess's name, real quick,
uh,
again?
it's Ukak, so it's
Okay.
it's like it's UC UCK or
And she was a
UC.
princess of Russia?
Um, it wasn't actually Russia. Man, I knew you were going to ask me that.
Oh, is it? Okay. Okay. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm just looking for images. Yeah. Keep going. Keep going. You said they would get tattoos. I'm just trying to find images for everybody.
Yeah, no, no, that's fine. Yeah, so those the sailors started to get tattooed, and then believe it or not, it got to a point that the the aristocrats, or the high royal people, started to get interested in tattooing as well. There's actually proof in the books of kings getting tattooed when they would go to like the Orient. They would get tattoos there, some of the islands. So it kind of hit this time frame where it was like all the rich upper crust type people were getting tattooed. And then
Uh,
it kind of fell out of favor again. And that's where American tattooing kind of picks back up. Now, there were guys that were traveling, that were doing tattoos. There was Wagner and his wife, Maud Wagner. They were traveling with the circuses, and they were doing, tattoos on people. But at the time, they were doing like hand poke. And then they would get so much tattoo work done that they would become like sideshows, and people would be paid to see them because they were like, whoa, who are these? Um, Fast forward a little bit further, then you had the Bowery, which is, to me, I consider to be like the epicenter of American tattooing. At the time, um, there was a gentleman named Samuel O'Reilly, who he came up with the patent for the first U.S. patent for the tattoo machine. Now,
really?
there is a lot of back and forth with guys that are like tattoo machine historians that kind of debate that. Um, there's a gentleman, his name is Shane Enholm. He's from California. He's actually written a book on tattoo machines, and he feels as though that there were tattoo machines being used before Samuel O'Reilly's patent. They noted there was a dentist at the time that had this like a dental plunger, which ironically enough looks like almost like a pen.
Yeah.
That they feel as though that was being used before O'Reilly's invention, sorry, of the tattoo machine. So there's this like I said earlier, right? There was a lot of word of mouth. A lot of this stuff wasn't written down.
Yeah, of course.
But then you go into like Charlie Wagner. Now Charlie Wagner became like the king of the Bowery in New York City. I did an episode on him. It's the thumbnail says legend. Because he wound up actually teaching Willie Moskowitz of the Moskowitz family how to tattoo. And then his sons Walter and Stanley became like legends in the business. Charlie Wagner also worked with like Millie Hull, who was like the first. She wasn't the first female tattoo artist, but she was the first female tattoo artist in the Bowery of New York City area. Like I said before, there was like Hildebrand, there was Maud Wagner. So there were other, female tattoo artists, but they were from what I understood, doing hand poke tattoos still
in America.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, they didn't really start doing machine stuff until, like I said, the Samuel O'Reilly, came out with the patent and started to kind of put these machines together.
What year was that he did that?
I'd have to Google it.
I wonder.
I want to say it was
crazy. So they were doing hand and I always thought of that as something that was very, I've gone to Hawaii for tattoos and stuff. I always thought it was something that's very Polynesian, maybe Asian. I know a lot about, a little bit about Japanese tattooing, and they do some type of stuff like that. I didn't think that was ever something that was done in America at all, actually.
Yeah. So, like I said, the Wagners were very, very well known for that. And they kind of, from what I understand, didn't really pick up a machine until very, very late in their careers. So it's a lot of people attribute the Samuel O'Reilly invention as being the jump off point for what we consider to be American tattooing.
Really? Let me see here.
Yeah, if you look up Samuel O'Reilly patent.
Yeah. So tattoo machine, 1891, December 8th.
So I was going to say 1892, but I knew that wasn't right.
Wow. That's nuts. That's when it was made. That's very interesting because, like you said, rich people. One thing I'll say is I didn't realize something until I started watching your videos, that there is this lineage, like the same way in jiu-jitsu, where it's like they have the Gracies, and then the Gracies taught these guys, and the same exact way tattooing has that same type of lore to it. I had no idea that was a thing. I just figured it was like, you learn with a guy, that was it, that was your guy, and there was that kind of thing. But I like to see that there's actual whole families that get into it. It's remarkable.
Yeah, so there are people that come from like the Percy Waters tree. There are people that come from the Charlie Wagner tree. Like I said, he kind of showed Willie Moskowitz how to do tattoos. And you got to understand too, they were also tattooing in like barbershops. It wasn't like you go to the tattoo shop to get a tattoo. It was like, hey, I'm going to go get a haircut. Oh, you know what? I'll get a tattoo. And also at that time of the Bowery, that's kind of when the tattooing went to the low end of society. Yeah. So tattooing kind of fell out of favor, and then it went to the street women. I was trying to find the right word without saying
ladies of the night.
There you go. The sailors, like the hellions of the day. They were the ones getting tattooed, and You know, there's people in America right now that are tattooing that could trace their lineage all the way back to Charlie Wagner.
Wow, that is wild. That's
Yeah.
very, very interesting. Yeah, it did fall out of favor. Like in Japan, like I was just watching a video, they were talking about how it was a punishment. Like it was banned in like 1872,
Yep.
right? And then it was like a punishment that they would do to people. And that's why in their culture, it wasn't lifted until 1948. And that's why in their culture, it's like still looked down upon. I thought it was just because of the Yakuza, like the gang or the Yakuza. I thought it was just because of that. But apparently it was like something that only the deplorables had on them.
Well, think about it. I mean, who were the Yakuza? They
Yeah.
were the you know, the low end of society, the guys that were doing the illegal stuff to get by. So that's why if you see a you know, a Japanese bodysuit, there is like a break in the middle.
Yes. Yes.
And that's so when they had their I can't remember what it's called.
Kimono.
Yeah, on there, what you couldn't see it. And there's still places in Japan right now where if you are tattooed, you can't even go in the pool.
Yeah, Rogan was actually talking about that. He said because he has the sleeves, right? And he kind of has them the way that they would have them in Japan, where it cuts off very sharply at the wrist, so you can like still wear suits and stuff and not see it. But he said he couldn't work out; he had to wear like a full shirt that covered his arms and everything when he worked out, or else they wouldn't allow him in the gym.
Yeah, there's actually I guess they're starting to lack some of that stuff. And there are like travel companies now that are catering to that. So they're bringing people in to be like, oh, well, if you do this tour, we can, you know, you can use the pool in this, you know, the baths area, and take part in that tradition. So yeah, it's pretty interesting, to be honest with you. I mean, we don't think of it like that here because it's so prevalent. I mean, in this day and age, I think it would be harder for you to see somebody that's not tattooed than there is to see somebody that is tattooed.
Yeah. There's very few people. Like I'm still surprised sometimes. Like I have a bunch of Jewish friends, and even like they're not supposed to be tattooed, and they're like, "Yeah, what are you talking about? Of course I'm getting tattooed." Like it's just like such a thing where it's like.
So that I'm actually going to do an episode on that. That there's that's I was always under that impression as well. Like if you were tattooed as a Jewish person, you couldn't be buried at the cemetery.
Well, that's actually I know that's not true because a good friend of mine, he passed away. He was like 36. This was years ago. He passed away, and he was Jewish, and they buried him. So they didn't take it off or anything like that. He had some great tattoos too.
Yeah, so there's this history of that whole, you know, how they interpreted it, some of the stuff in you know, the Hebrew language.
Yeah.
That says that's not necessarily true. But then you also have the incident, you know, World War II.
Yeah, of course.
That obviously puts a negative connotation for them. Understandable, right? But some of the most legendary tattoo artists were Jewish. I mean, I just talked about Walter and Stanley Moskowitz.
Yeah, you're talking about Moskowitz. Yeah, I went to school with somebody with that name. A couple people with that name, actually. So that's very, very interesting that, yeah, it's such an odd. The guy who did my first tattoo, he was Jewish Irish. He actually converted for his wife, and he was the guy who did like my first tattoo. And you know, no shade to him, but I did cover it up because, like you, I got something very dumb, and I just needed to cover it. I got in script. I wish somebody had warned me about this on my ribs, so like up to here, down to here. Like my hip area, I got no fear and no doubt on both sides of my body like that. It was a very rough experience.
I have guys that I'm friends with that are heavily tattooed, and they're like, "Oh, I can't believe you went over top of it. You should have kept that as like a badge of."
Yeah.
Said, you know what? At the time, I just thought I want to get this bigger piece done. It's taking up real estate. I'm just going to blast over it. Call it a day.
Yeah, that's exactly what my thinking was too. Like I got it, and I'm like, eventually I wanted this much bigger piece, and it's not even done yet, but the starting of it comes to where the tattoos were, and it goes to my back and it goes up my back and everything. So I was just like, yeah, just go over it. Like, if you look very closely, because it's it's not this flower of life, it's the seed of life that's on both of my ribs here. Okay. And if you look close enough, because it's all line work, if you look close enough, you can see it. But if you don't know me, then you can't really see it,
And you already have one of the worst spots to get tattooed on your ribs. Oh, so man. That's no joke.
one of the worst spots. And this guy was like a wild man tattoo artist. So I just go there with my buddy, and he's getting a tattoo. He's good friends with the guy. So we're drinking. The artist is drinking. My buddy's drinking. They're getting smashed. Crystal Head vodka. Getting smashed. I'm drinking too, because it was back in the day when I used to drink. So we're drunk. And I don't know if you know what happens when you get a tattoo and you've been drinking.
Yeah, you bleed out.
It bleeds a lot. So I'm getting script. It just feels like this guy's just grinding, because it's like just, it's cursive script. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. I'm squeezing a water bottle. I'm drunk. I'm sweating. It was wild. After it was done, a little euphoric after it was done, because it's like you go through all that pain and you start, getting back to reality. But it was wild. The healing process was wild. And then, like a dummy, I got the other side. I'm like, screw it. I'm like, I got the fever. So it was like a bad experience, but I also got the fever. So I'm like, oh, we got to get another tattoo. Like the second this heals up, I'm like, let's go. So
I tell people all the time, tattoos are like potato chips. You can't just have one.
No, you definitely can't.
It's I don't know why they're not the most comfortable thing to sit through, but there is something about it that's highly addictive. I enjoy it. Look, there's certain spots, like I just got, my last one was my knee. I got my kneecap done.
Really?
That was the first time I ever tapped out on a tattoo.
Really? Like halfway, or like how much you get through?
Yeah. So the guy did the outline and started to do some of the shading. I had to go back to get the rest of the shading and the colors put into it. And it wasn't, I probably could have sat through the pain, to be honest with you. But what was happening was I was having like an involuntary reflex, like where my kneecap kind of was like
jumping. Funny bone. Yeah. That's the reflex place, right?
Yeah. So I said to the guy, I said, look, I was actually leaning on my leg to try to hold my leg down, and it just wasn't working. And I said, look, I'm just going to come back. I don't want you to have to, like suffer through that and try to like deal with me not being able to sit still. Yeah. So I was like, I'll just come back, man, and I'll get the rest of it done. And that was the first time that's ever happened to me. I mean, I've toughed out through some pretty bad tattoos. I have the ditches in my arms done. That's pretty tough. My elbows are done.
Wow.
So I've had tough spots done. And for me to say that was like, wow, I surprised myself. So
wow. Yeah, but I mean, like you're saying, don't put them through that. Like for people watching that don't realize, it's like, you're jumping like that, you're making him mess up possibly. He really doesn't want you to move. It becomes like you're not listening, and it's like you're almost like at war with each other, and it's like you don't even mean to do it, but he's still going to be like, feeling like, okay, stop. Like, come on, man. Like, get through this or not.
Yeah, and luckily I'm good friends with the guy, so it worked out. But it's just one of those things where you don't want to put any extra work on the guy, or female. I mean, there's some incredible female tattoo artists out there. I say guy as in generalization. I don't mean it to be.
Yeah. I mean, don't worry about that. We're not woke on this channel. You watch the show, you know how I get.
Yeah.
For me, I actually both of these tattoos are actually done by women. I have it's like these two bears. They're like these Instagram bears. Me and my wife would always send them to each other. Back when I worked in film and television, I would always send her these bears. Like we couldn't talk all the time, so I'd always be texting her. She worked in the restaurant industry. I worked in film and television, so it was just like, she's in like 14-hour days. I'm like 18-hour days, so it was a struggle. So we'd always send each other these bears in these different situations. And then when we got married, we were like, let's get a tattoo of this. Like
Right on.
she got the bears doing one thing. I got the bears as like a king and a queen together. One of them's white, one of them's brown. And then the one below it is actually work harder. And I remember I got that at a low time in my life where I was just like, man, you're not fucking working, man. Like, it's just pissing me off, man. Like, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You gotta pick yourself up and like get something done. And I was just like, you know what? I'm getting a tattoo, getting work harder on me so I don't forget.
You know what? It's funny that you say that because I kind of feel that way right now with my channel. I see
Yeah.
people like you that put out videos almost every day.
Yep.
And, the thing is like, I don't really have that ability to do that because I work a regular job, 9 to 5.
True.
I have a home life as well. And, a lot of it is I have to do the research on a lot of this stuff. It's not like
Of
I'm
course.
just, spewing information out of my mouth. I wish there was a way for me to be able to put out content sooner, quicker. I think that's where the live stream for me came into play. Now, my live streams don't get a lot of action.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
but to be honest, it actually turned into a phenomenal community. And I enjoy that just as much as putting out content. Like there are people that show up and comment all the time that are the same
Yeah.
people. We talk and chat. I'll talk to some of them on like Instagram, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it turned into a really cool community, which that's kind of like the nature of tattooing. The
Mm.
tattoo community is big, but yet it's small. There
Yeah.
are, certain people that you constantly see or you run into, and it's cool. I mean, I've had the pleasure of meeting a lot of cool people by doing this. And, um, you know, we'll get back to the history in a second, but
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I want to make sure I talk about today real quick is the Tattoo Heritage Project. They're on the West Coast. They're really trying to raise funds right now to have a tattoo museum somewhere out in California. Um, it was done by Good Time Charlie and Jack Rudy, who were huge, legendary guys in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Jack unfortunately just passed away not too long ago. But they are desperately trying to raise funds to put a museum together so all this stuff can be in a building and people could see some of the historic flash. There you
Is
go.
this it?
That's Good Time Charlie right there. Yep.
Cool. Cool.
True legend right there.
Okay. So these are all the people who are putting it together.
Yeah, and it's a pretty big who's who of tattoo legendary people.
Is this guy that I'm on right here, is he still alive?
Yeah, so that's Hank Schiffmacher, Mocker,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
He used to have the tattoo museum in Amsterdam. And a couple of years ago, for whatever reason, I don't know the whole dynamics of why, but he wound up closing it. That dude is a walking encyclopedia of tattoo history. He has some of the earliest tattoo memorabilia. So he's an amazing wealth of knowledge. And
Cool.
right above him is Jack Rudy, the guy that I was just talking about, who just recently passed away.
Wow. Rest in
Yeah.
peace.
Yeah. So, and, the West Coast, I don't want to leave those guys out of the picture because the Pike was a legendary, tattoo place on the West Coast that really, blew up tattooing on the West Coast. Legendary Bert Grim, who I think if you scroll down,
Oh,
there's
sorry, it switched here.
that's
You
okay.
said
Carrie
Bert?
Barba. There's Carrie Barba. You just passed her. She owns the building that Bert Grimm was in for all those years. She's another one that's got amazing wealth of knowledge. So Bert Grimm started tattooing. He's one of those legendary characters that a lot of people talk about. He really was. He embodied the beginning of tattooing as like a showman. There's stories about him. He would stop in the middle of a tattoo and be like, we're going to have Bert Grimm story time. And he would tell tales
Wow.
of him, tattooing for Buffalo Bill's, sideshow. He would he talked about him tattooing Bonnie and Clyde. He tattooed Pretty Boy Floyd. So, like those there he is right there on the left. Yeah, so that's the middle is Bert Grim's shop.
Okay.
On the right is Bert Grim. He's the gentleman on the far right.
Okay.
That is an older picture of Bert. So the West Coast has just as much history as the East Coast. It just, the East Coast is more of a jump off point for most people.
Yeah, I hear that. I actually got a tattoo done by a West Coast guy. He probably wouldn't be that known. His name was simply just Mark. And I met him when I was in Hawaii. He actually did this tattoo. This one here. It's like a mushroom mandala.
Okay.
So it actually goes this way, and then in the middle it's a mushroom with like one eye on it. And every part of the mandala is like a mushroom cap. It's really, really interesting. But
okay.
I went to Hawaii because I wanted to get like the poke. Like I wanted to get poke. Like I wanted to get that traditional type of stuff. And we're going from place to place, me and my buddy, and we're trying to figure out like who does it. And we meet this guy, and we're like, who does this tattooing? He's like, this guy's not here right now. And we're just talking to him, and we start talking about psychedelics and sacred geometry and his experiences and our experiences and just life in general. And then the next thing my buddy kind of taps me because he wanted to get his first tattoo as well. And he's like, this is the guy. He's like, this is a perfect sign. He's like, we've been talking to this guy for an hour for no reason.
Nice.
We're connecting on all these levels. Like, this is the guy. And I'm like, yeah, I think you're right. So we set it up with him. We were in Hawaii for a few weeks at that point. My buddy had just become a crypto millionaire. So he was just like going nuts with money.
Wow.
Yeah, he was going absolutely nuts. He's been like invested in Bitcoin since like it was not worth a lot. So
good on him.
Yeah, he's a wild guy. But we schedule it, we get it going. Yeah, I get my tattoo, and when it comes to this center part, the center part here, it was completely empty. And he's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna eye it." And I'm like, "You're gonna eye it?" Like at this point, I don't have that many tattoos. I'm like, "What do you mean you're gonna eye it?" He's like, "Don't even worry about it, Holmes. I got it." And I'm like, "Holmes?" I'm like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, because he's like, he's Latino, but he's dark. So I figure he's Hawaiian. Like I figure everybody I'm meeting in Hawaii is Hawaiian, right? Especially when they look like that guy. He looked like a Hawaiian dude. So I'm like, "Where are you from?" He's like, "I'm from South Central LA."
Oh, right on.
Wow. And I'm like, "So how long you been tattooing?" He's like, "I don't know." He's like, 40 years. He's like, "I started when I was 6. He's like, "My first tattoo was on my dad. It was a gang tattoo. My dad wanted me to do it." And he's like, "My dad kind of set me up on this path of like being a tattoo artist." And then like all of the homies wanted their tattoos done by him. And he was like deep into the gang life. And you could see that he had like a lot of his stuff blacked out, and they just do black over it.
Yeah.
Instead of actually covering it. He just got black. And he's like, "I wanted out of the gang life." And he's like, "There's nothing you can do when it comes to that kind of thing other than leave." He's like, "So I took my daughter." He's like, "And I just left." He's like, "I've been here for like a few years." And he's like, "I'm just trying to get away from the gang life." He's like, "But I love tattoo." He's like, "I love art." He's like, "I paint, I do this, I do that." I'm like, wow, it was such a weird experience to meet this guy. Such a deep dude.
So those the Good Time Charlie, Jack Rudy, like they were the ones that really kind of brought the Chicano style of fine line tattooing to the forefront.
Wow.
They're considered to be like the godfathers of that fine line tattoo style. And now, I mean, if you go to a convention now, there's like a murderer's row of Chicano style tattooing that is incredible. Some amazing artists that you're just like, I can't believe that they're putting that on skin. It looks like a painting. I mean, it blows my mind. I went to the Philly convention. They had a whole row of those guys just knocking it out of the park. And
Wow.
it's amazing what they're doing these days with tattoos. I think that that's one of the things with tattooing right now. There seems to be a little slight divide between the older generation and the newer generation, because the newer generation is doing tattoos that people never in a million years thought they could do. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't know what's right and what's wrong about it. I try to stay out of that like political thing when it comes to that stuff, because I'm guilty of it. I see it online and stuff like that, or I'll see it at a convention. I'm like, that is amazing. And then there's some of the older guys are like, hey, that's not going to hold. That's not going to last. There also has become this thing that's happening where there are people doing it. We call them Instagram tattoos, and they look good the day they got them done.
Yeah,
They
that's
look
what I was gonna
good
say. Okay.
on Instagram, but some of them you see 6 months down the road and they've completely fallen out. They look like crap.
Yeah.
So, I think that that's where some of these older guys still have this, hey, I told you that was going to happen. But
Mhm.
there's also people that are doing those tattoos. They do hold and they do look phenomenal. So what's right and what's wrong? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I could definitely see the older generation. It's kind of like that with hip hop. Hip hop had the exact same thing as the SoundCloud rappers started to emerge. Hip hop had this thing where like the older guys were like, this is what the art is, and what you're doing is something else. And the young guys were like, screw you. I don't care. I don't care. I'm living right now. And most of my friends usually die at a young age. So whatever I make now is what it is. And you can't tell me anything. And that
Yeah.
sounds like the same type of thing. It's like they're making these, it's like it's hip hop went through the same thing. It's like in the world of Instagram, in the world of like microwave content, you just heat it up right away, 1 minute done. In that world, you're gonna have people who do those type of tattoos. That would just make sense, right? Because
Yeah.
what matters is that moment, that piece of content, putting it out there, the hustle of getting more clients, everything like that. And the older guys, they're probably used to, hey, there's no fame to this. You go nice and slow.
Yeah.
You want things that are going to hold. You want customers that are going to come to you for years. Like because they've been through the years and through the ranks and everything. So they're trying to like, because that makes perfect sense to me. A tattoo that's going to hold, like this one is like more than 10 years old and it's holding up just fine. Like it's
Yeah.
beautiful. This one here, people usually think this one is like a few years old, and this guy did this, yeah, almost 10 years ago as well. So it's like, and it holds up really well, especially with the thin lines and everything. So I completely get it compared to like my hand tattoo that like
Mhm.
was falling off before. Like I did it in Vegas and it was like coming off a little bit by the time it
Mm.
got to Hawaii.
So, so there's a saying in tattooing. It's called "bold will hold." And
Ah, true.
there was a legendary tattoo artist. I actually did an episode on him called Cap Coleman, who was out of Roanoke, Virginia.
Mhm.
He kind of got into town right when the port was kind of being built up for the wars, and he came in at the right time, and he wound up being like this legendary guy who there's people now that are tattooing that fall under his tree. He had this theory of, I should be able to stand on the other side of the street and know what it looks like.
Mm,
That's where the whole bold will hold comes in, right? Now,
true.
you were saying about like, take your time, slow. Some of these older guys, and I'm talking like, old school, Cap Coleman, Bert Grim, they literally could knock out. I don't want to not talk about them because I interviewed Sailor Eddie Jr. His grandparents were Sailor Eddie and Esther. They were tattooing the 40s and 50s, and I mean, legendary people, but they could knock out like chest eagles in like 45 minutes. There's a guy named Tony Polito who was in New York City tattooing when the New York City tattoo ban was happening, that they said he was the fastest and that anybody had ever seen. Like, he was knocking out tattoos. He would have a line of guys, waiting to get tattoos. He was tattooing in a rough area towards the end. He was like tattooing in an area where it was like behind bulletproof glass. But those
Wow.
guys were knocking out tattoos because there was no custom work back then. If it wasn't on the wall, if the flash wasn't hanging on the wall, you weren't getting it. That didn't change until later on when like Ed Hardy and Cliff Raven and all those guys started to do custom work, which is kind of where we're at now.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize. Yeah, okay. Because that's how it was, before I didn't get tattooed until I was like in my 30s, right? No, actually, no. The first one was in my 20s, but then the rest of them were in my 30s. But I remember being around, because I used to hang around rough types, and you'd be in the tattoo places, and yeah, there was always stuff on the wall. I never realized that it was only that at one point. That's very interesting. When I was saying slow and steady, I meant with their careers, not with the actual tattoos.
Oh yeah.
Like just like kind of like, this is just what it is. You're not gonna, because like back in their time, there's no I'm gonna make this and it's gonna get 1 million views. And then that's going to kick up business. There was like none of that. It was all about the body of work that you make. I would think as a creator, the body of work is like the most important thing.
Those guys were the being a rock star tattoo artist that's making, crazy money every year was the furthest thing away from their minds.
Mm-hmm.
They were basically tattooing to make a living, put food on their table, make sure their kids were okay. It really didn't get until later on, and we can get into that, where this like rock star mentality thing started to happen, where it was like, "Ooh, I could be like the next great," And here's a perfect example of that. I just talked about Charlie Wagner. He was like considered to be like the king of the Bowery in New York City. When he died, they just put a padlock on his shop, and a majority of his stuff was thrown into a dumpster, and he was buried in a pauper's grave in New York. So his stuff is worth tons of money, and some of it did get out of the shop. There were certain guys that maybe had worked there that took boxes out and stuff like that. So it's not like Charlie Wagner's stuff is not, you can't obtain it, but it's far and few between because nobody back then thought it was going to be worth anything.
Yeah.
Now it's like a big market. So
that's crazy. They just tossed it all out.
That's how things changed. I mean, and a lot of people kind of pinpoint that to Lyle Tuttle, who is San Francisco. He was considered to be like the first rock star of tattooing.
Why is that? Like, what did he do to get that type of reputation?
Well, he was in San Francisco. The funny part about this, well, I can get into this in a second, but he was tattooing famous people because of where he was. He wound up getting on the cover of the Rolling Stone magazine. You know what I mean? So like it kind of propelled him to be that rock star status. He was, he tattooed Janis Joplin. I just did an episode where I did a interview with Jesse Martinick. Sorry. His grandfather was actually the first person to tattoo Janis Joplin, but they had to keep it a secret because Jesse's grandfather was from Canada and was trying to become a citizen in the United States. And yeah, it wasn't supposed to be working here, but he was working at Lyle Tuttle's shop. So she goes on Dick Cavett, does this full-blown interview. He starts asking her about her tattoos, and she goes, "Oh, well, there's this real hip cat in San Francisco named Lyle Tuttle." And she starts talking about the tattoo on her wrist and all that. Well, Jesse's grandfather's the one that did that. It wasn't Lyle. Now, Lyle did tattoo her later on, but see what I'm saying? Like the story got a little skewed up.
That's interesting. I did see that interview on your channel.
Yeah.
How do you say his last name? Martin Newick? Martinick.
He pronounces it Martinick.
Okay.
I always used to call him Martinick, but it's actually Martinick. He pronounces it Martinick.
That's cool. Yeah. His grandfather is the one that tattooed Janis Joplin. Is that right?
Yeah, he tattooed her first. Lyle did do some work for her later on, before she died. There's even a cool clip in there where it just happened to work out that way, but he talked about his dad and his grandfather going to a party at her house in the hills and having this great time. And I guess his dad was like a young kid at the time, like 13 or something, and he took a leak off the diving board and everybody was cheering and all that. And I put right after that, I went into the clip of her actually talking about them coming to her house and for a party and tattooing everybody.
Wow.
Right?
Huh.
Crazy. There's
That's
so
amazing.
much history in tattooing that a lot of people don't know about, and unfortunately, a lot of people don't care. I can honestly say, had I went the route of doing a tattoo channel that was based off of the hot, new, trendy stuff, my channel would probably be much bigger than it is. I don't know, it wouldn't be probably the biggest channel because, I'm an older guy that, it's YouTube's for the hip younger kids, but my channel would definitely be bigger. But to me, if I wasn't doing the history, the stuff that feeds my soul, I wouldn't have been happy doing this.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate that in this day and age, these young kids, they go to a tattoo shop. They don't really care who the person is that they're getting tattooed. They just hand them a phone and say, "Hey, man, this is what I want." The guy can reproduce it. They walk out the door. "Here's my money. Have a good day." I mean, I think that if you asked a lot of younger people who did your tattoos, majority of them would be like, that guy down the street, or whatever. They don't really the history of it, and I think they will at some point. I'm not saying it's never going to happen. I've had conversations with different tattoo artists that I've interviewed and whatnot, and there was a lot of guys that were just like, "Hey, man, they're just not interested right now. Eventually, they'll get to the history of it because it's just not their time." And I understand that. But I would like to see a bigger, not not because it's my channel or anything, but I would like to see the history of this amazing craft be pushed out to more people, for more people to get interested in it, because there is a lot of history and a lot of really cool stories that go along with this.
So you were saying, if you weren't doing the work that fed your soul, you were saying you were there.
Yeah, like I feel like if I was doing the hot new trendy stuff, it wouldn't really feed my soul like the history does. Because to me, the history of this is just as equally important as the hot new trendy stuff. And there's a lot of great stories out there. And unfortunately, you and I only have so much time today, so we can't like dive into, all the stories. There's thousands of great stories. I mean, just the fact that I threw out some gems right there with Bert Grim tattooing Bonnie and Clyde and Pretty Boy Floyd and doing tattoos at Buffalo Bill's circus. Like those are some amazing stories.
Yeah, it's crazy. And there's more happening. Like even now, I mean, you see the hip hop artists, like they're all getting tattooed like crazy. I'm sure there's a bunch of tattoo artists right now that have these wild stories about like tattooing Lil Wayne, or he made them come to a trailer or some weird thing, like, or his tour bus or something like that. There's probably all these weird stories unfolding right now as well that people just don't think about hearing,
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm friends with a guy from LA. You know, he's got a lot of cool stories. I mean, he had the show Shameless that was shot in his shop.
Oh
So
yeah.
like the tattoo scenes from the show Shameless, they were done in his shop. I also have a guy that I got tattooed from. Post Malone paid him a boatload of cash to put him on a plane and like fly to Colorado to do a tattoo, one of the tattoos on his face.
Wow.
So there's always going to be good, fun stories because this is a craft that was meant to be fun. There were, people got into this for the freedom of it. So they didn't have to work a 9-to-5 job and they could have fun while they were working. But it's unfortunate in this day and age that there are shops for guys that have been tattooing a long time that are closing because, there's not as much work to go around. And I'll get into that in a second. Or, like there are, where was I going with that? Oh, so like there's just not enough work to go around, or they don't want to do social media. They just want a tattoo.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, right now, you have to put stuff on social media in order to promote your business because that's where a majority of people that are getting tattooed that are 18 to, let's say, 25, 30, that's where they're getting their ideas and that's where they're seeing it. So if you're not doing that, it's gonna definitely hurt your business.
Yeah.
Well, and when
Sure.
I say, so what happened was the COVID happened. A lot of shops had to close down because they couldn't tattoo. And then shops started to open back up and there was a boom. There was COVID money going around. There was a lot of YOLO going around where people were like, man, I just been pent up for like ever. I'm going to just go get tattooed. Like I've been putting it off. I'm going to go get tattooed. So what happened was there were shops that were opening up on top of other shops because there were people that were working at these shops that were like, hey man, this guy's making all this money that owns this shop. I've been tattooing for, 5, 10 years or maybe even longer. And they go, I'm going to go open up my own shop. So now they open up down the street, sometimes next door. Back in the day in tattooing, that was a no-no.
Yeah.
Like
I can imagine.
you wouldn't move into Bert Grim's town without going and talking to Bert Grim. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of almost biker-esque mentality.
Yeah, I know
And
for sure.
nothing for nothing, but 70s and 80s, that's kind of really who was getting tattooed. It was like, the considered to be low brow people.
Yeah. The deplorables.
Yes.
All of us deplorables with our tattoos and our wanting to not work jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, that's yeah. I could imagine like how it happens for the old guys in terms of things closing down. And yeah, man, because you're a media company. Yeah, every single person. You have a YouTube channel. You're a media in this day and age, you're a media company first who does XYZ. I'm a media company that makes YouTube videos. You're a media company that it also does electrical services for residential homes. That's everybody. And it's like, if you don't do it, I'm lucky. I don't do Instagram. I don't do TikTok. Like I barely do X. If I did, I'd probably be at like 500,000 subscribers because those things are funnels.
Yeah.
And I'm compared to these guys you're talking about, I'm very young, right? I'm in my 30s. These guys you're talking about, it's like, I don't want to do it at my age. You can only imagine how they feel. You know what I mean?
So what's happening now, though, is there also a lot of the younger guys that were opening these shops are starting to realize that some of that money isn't there, and they're starting to close because, believe it or not, there's this theory of oversaturation of the market. There's now way too many tattoo shops, and I think depending on who you ask, there's a camp that's going to be like, yep, it's too many shops, and there's going to be a camp that's no, there's plenty of shops. So the numbers don't kind of correlate because the fact of the matter is, if you look at the numbers, there are a lot more people getting tattooed year over year than there ever was. So if you look at it, you should go, oh, well, then it should, there should be plenty of room for more shops. Well, I think that's what's really happening is that there might be some of those people that did those shops that thought it was going to be easier than what it was.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be a bunch of older guys that don't want to do the Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. They just kind of want to do their thing. Well, walk-ins don't happen as much as they used to. So back in the day, it was considered to be a walk-in client. The guy would walk in, look at the stuff on the wall and be like, yeah, I want that. Or he would already have something kind of drawn up that he wanted and be like, all right, can you do this for me and change it and do that? Yeah, sure. No problem. Now it's become where it's like appointments, and you can't go just to a shop, and you still can. There's plenty of street shops. Don't get me wrong, but it's not as much as there used to be. And I think that's where some of the struggle is.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, with this one, we had to make an appointment when I got this one done. For my back, definitely had to make an appointment. The guy was like booked up all crazy. And then, like you said, there's some shops, it's like walk-in, and it's like, I don't know, it's a beautiful thing when it's like a walk-in and the person's incredible and they're like a good person. Like it's just, it's a wild experience. Like the person who did this for me, she also did my wife as well. Her name's Jacqueline Jacqueline Schiller. And she's like a power lifter on the side. She's like into
Oh,
like
wow.
heavy powerlifting and stuff. It's like crazy. But I have a little tattoo here, a little mushroom. And it was it was like one of my first YouTube videos. And I interviewed her because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to like interview people and like talk to different artists and stuff. So I had this idea of like getting tattoos and then interviewing the tattoo artist. And that was a walk-in. I just walked in and she's like, sure. It was like literally down the street from where I was at the time, where my buddy was at. And I just walked in and she's like, yeah, no problem. And she just did it. And she had all this art on the wall. And I just took pictures of her art and just talked to her while she was tattooing me and just asked her a few questions on camera. And yeah, it was great. It was actually great.
And the thing is that, you know, like I said, there is this divide right now with the older generation, the newer generation, but that's been going on for a long time. I mean, very world famous tattooer, Sailor Jerry out of Hawaii. You know, he was a walk-in shop, didn't want to hear anything about customs this, customs that, and then he wound up having Ed Hardy, who became famous. I mean, there's probably a lot of younger people that know Ed Hardy because of the clothing brand and stuff like that, which,
yeah,
you know, it is him. He sold his name basically for those products. But you know, had Sailor Jerry known that Ed Hardy was a pot smoking hippie type, probably wouldn't have had him working at his shop because he was very, you know, against all that.
really.
So yeah, so that's what I'm
So
saying. Like, there's always been some kind of, you know, divide that's gone throughout the years. It doesn't matter. It's always been there. It's just more pronounced now because of social media.
yeah, I think when it comes to the divide you're talking about, it's like tattoo artists, you know, at the core, it's like, yes, they're tattoo artists, and yes, there's this art there, but also they're people, right? And
Yeah.
then they're people who usually are coming from these like rougher backgrounds. Maybe it's a hippie, maybe it's a guy that's a, you know, former biker, you know, etc. Maybe he's an associate, or, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's where the divide comes from. It's just people, right? I mean, there's divides everywhere. But when it comes to Sailor Jerry, what's was it the like what style is his? Is there a
He's
certain style that's his?
Yeah, American traditional. He was
Okay.
he was all about American traditional. He did have correspondence with some of the bigger name Japanese artists. Even though, you know, he was very patriotic. He used to do like a fireside chat radio show in Hawaii. So he was very, yeah, he had a little problem with the Japanese folks because of World War II.
Yeah.
But, you know, he did wind up having correspondence with some of those guys. And, you know, so he started to bring some of those Asian elements in later on. But he's very well known for his American traditional. Him and Coleman, Cap Coleman, are probably the two biggest, you know, later day American traditional guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Let me just pull up this really quick.
Mhm.
Yeah, share this one. So this is basically, oh, it's not even there. Wait, oh, here they are. So this is basically like what he started. I mean, I know I'm just like on one.
No, it's not that he started it. It's just he kind of honed it. And that's where, like, you know, there's guys out there to be like, oh, well, how come you're not giving any credit to Charlie Wagner? And look, they all did their part, but there were guys that came throughout the process. There he is right there, smoking a pipe, tattooing. You know, that honed their craft a little bit more as they progressed, and, you know, brought their own element to it. So, you know, American traditional guy, but then he started to add some of the different nuances to it. You know, he apparently didn't get along with Bert Grim in California, but he also did correspondence with Cap Coleman. So, you know, it's, again, there was divides. You just have to dig for it.
That's interesting. So you're saying that he got into the more Japanese elements because, like, there it looked like he was doing a very. It almost looked like one of these Japanese guys would do. It was like a really big piece, seemed like it went
Yep.
all the way down to the guy's lower back.
Yep.
So was that the type of thing he started incorporating, like these bigger pieces, or was it just like koi fit?
Yeah.
Like, what was it?
Yeah, so he started to do some of the bigger, pieces that were, had those Asian elements to them. He really, took off springboard, into fame, with World War II doing the American traditional stuff. But I think he saw that there was, a vast area that he wasn't touching on, which would have been the Asian elements. So he started to do those types of tattoos. Again, he was known to be, I wouldn't say anti-Japanese, but he definitely held a grudge because of World War II. So, there's Ed Hardy did a lot of documentation about him. Another person that I respect the hell out of is Chuck Eldridge. He runs the Tattoo Archive. Chuck started to collect pieces of flash machines and stuff like that. Has a small museum. It's in
I
North
could
Carolina.
I could definitely see this guy not liking a weed smoking hippie. I could definitely see that.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, him and so Ed Hardy and a gentleman, Mike Malone, they used to call him Rolo. They were the dope smoking hippie types, and they wound up actually working for Sailor Jerry. Now, Rolo actually wound up inheriting Sailor Jerry's shop after Sailor Jerry passed away.
Wow,
But
wow,
Rolo has since passed on himself.
wow. That's
Yeah.
wild. So Sailor Jerry, does he have anything to do with the rum? Do you know about Sailor Jerry rum?
So that's a whole another where licensing of the name kind of got, you know, yeah. So it is related to him, yes,
Wow.
by name. Whether they use some of his designs for some of the bottles and stuff like that, but yes, it comes from him.
They did. They did. No, I remember I had a friend who would all the time, he would do anything for this rum. He would go across the border. He'd go wherever he had to go to get this rum. And he always had a lot of it. And every bottle you'd be able to peel the sticker that was on it, and there would be a tattoo design. There
Yeah,
would always be these traditional American tattoo designs. And that was like my only introduction to it. And I had no idea who it was, the name, anything, but I just remember it was good tasting rum. I liked
that
it a
all
lot.
that all came out after I quit drinking. So
Yeah. Oh man.
yeah,
Yeah. 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 I
I
didn't
uh
stop. I,
I,
I
I
used to smoke. I used to drink in my younger days, but I stopped in the
yeah,
20s.
I've been sober, clean and sober for 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
Congratulations, man.
thank you. Hopefully,
11
be
years.
12 in December.
There we go. There we
Yeah,
go. I'll be 3 years in October. On October 23rd, I'll be 3 years.
right on. Congrats, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's a much
Probably one
better
of the
life.
best. Yep, I was just gonna say it's probably one of the best choices I ever made.
Yeah, man. It's necessary for me. It was like I didn't want to, my thing was weed. It was mainly weed. Like I didn't like I quit drinking way before I quit smoking. For when it comes to drinking, I haven't drank in like, I don't know, probably 11, 12 years. I just never really liked it, but my thing was like weed, and it would mess up my whole life, and just my relationships would get wrecked, and just have money spent, and getting in with the wrong people and owing people money, and it was just bad. And I got to the point where I had my wife, she's my girlfriend, and I was like, I would always think about like, what kind of father am I going to be? Am I going to be like this father that gets high and then like goes pick their kid up from school? Like, I'm going to like
Mm.
always be like this. And I was like, I really don't want to always be like this.
Yeah, so I smoked a lot of weed, when I was in the music business and stuff like that. So when I got out of that, I was trying to find a regular 9 to 5 job, and then I realized that you were going to get drug tested. So I was like, I probably need to stop doing that. So I quit smoking weed before I quit drinking.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool. And then you just slowly phased out the drinking later on, I guess.
It wasn't really a slow phase out. I tried a couple different things, didn't work, and then I just went cold turkey and started going to meetings and doing the right thing. And you know, I realized that there was no phasing it out. Unfortunately, like I see people all the time have like a glass of wine with dinner and stuff like that, and it baffles me.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like it doesn't compute. I don't. I wish I had that switch, but I don't.
Yeah.
We call it like an allergic reaction. Like as soon as it touches my lips, it's like what was it, Hank the Tank or whatever. As soon as it touches
Yeah.
my
Old school.
lips, yeah, that's how I am. It's like, game on. As soon as it just I realized it wasn't doing me any favors. Plus, when I decided to quit, I was starting to have some like bad liver readings, stuff like that. I
True.
mean, I was drinking heavy, heavy.
Yeah, yeah, I bet, man. Yeah. Yeah, I had the same thing when it came to smoking. I would always be baffled when somebody's like, "Oh, I can just, I'll just smoke and I don't know, I guess I'll smoke, maybe next week or something." And I'd be like, "Wow, that's crazy. You don't smoke and then 30 minutes smoke again? Like that's
Yeah,
amazing." Like,
and,
wow, what a life.
believe it or not, I mean, as much as you try to kid yourself, I guarantee you're just like me that it makes you a little lazy. It
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
takes some of your drive away. Which
Yeah.
at the time when I was doing it, I thought I was like king of the world. I could do anything, and but now that I don't do anything, and I look back at that time, and I go, man, I think it made me a little lazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
Definitely.
not going to help.
None of this happens if I smoke. There's no interviewing people, there's no uploading every day, there's no stand-up comedy, there's no nothing.
It,
It just neutralizes that. It stops me from doing everything
I
completely.
wouldn't have anything that I have right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear that.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. That's good,
but
man. Good for you, man. I love hearing people getting sober. It's not, we don't give enough I don't know what to say, shine or respect to it when we talk about that. It's a really good thing to step away from everything that you can, if you can.
well,
But
and people don't realize, how in your face it is. I mean, it doesn't bother me anymore, but like I remember first getting sober and then like, every other commercial was a beer commercial or a liquor commercial, or
yeah.
like God forbid you watched the Super Bowl and it was like all revolved around alcohol and stuff like
Mhm.
that. You're just like, wow, man, like, you know, um, yeah, it's in your face, and it baffles me that it's as accepted and mainstream as it is, considering the amount of lives it's ruined and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get all preachy on anybody, but it's just like I know I can't handle it. I drink and I break out in handcuffs.
Yeah. I break out in handcuffs.
Yeah.
That's
So
that's a solid expression. I break out in handcuffs. That's
yeah,
hilarious.
because
Yeah.
I don't have a switch that says, "Hey, man, I think you had enough."
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, some people just don't. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I did it, or I was really blessed because early, well, not early, like later on, I was like estranged from my dad. He was like estranged from all his kids. He had kids with different women, and he just kind of disappeared for like 8 or 10 years. I reconnected with him, and he would drink too much, and he was still drinking too much. Um, and I just kind of reconnected with him. I'm like, oh, if I just keep doing this, I might end up like I had a choice. I felt like I had a choice. I'm like, I have 50% his DNA, 50% my mom's DNA. My mom's like ex bodybuilder, waking up every day at 4 a.m., working out for 2 hours, coming home, getting changed, going to work, and just like doing that every day for like 20 years. And then there's my dad where he's like estranged and health issues and all this stuff. And I was like what I do will determine who I end up like. So I just started veering towards my mom.
The crazy thing is my parents didn't even really drink.
Wow, really?
I Yeah. So what happened with me was from the time I was probably 12, 13-ish till 19, I essentially watched my father die. My dad wound up passing away when I was 19. And, it wasn't until years later that I realized that I was using alcohol as a crutch and trying to just get by. And, unfortunately, because I was drinking that early and that hardcore, it turned into a problem.
Yeah.
And I have family members, aunts, uncles, grandparents that drank a lot. So it was there. It just needed to kind of come out, I guess. And really what happened.
Wow. Wow. Sorry to hear that, man. That's rough. That's very
Yeah.
rough. Especially
Hey,
seeing.
man, That's
Man.
those are things in your life that make you who you are.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Especially seeing it, I've I've talked about it before, but like my dad passed away in like 2016, 2017, or something like that, but I didn't know him all that well,
Mhm.
right? Like I met him a bunch of times, as a kid, and we reconnected, but after we reconnected, we saw each other, I don't know, maybe 5 times. Just, here and there. And the last time I saw him, he was in the hospital. He had cancer, or he had a tumor, and they like removed it, but it was all very shocking to me. So I was really upset when that happened. And then, as far as I knew, he was fine, but like, and then he ended up passing away. He was like alone in his apartment and everything. But I didn't actually watch it happen. You
Mhm.
know, I don't have the connection with him like I do with my mom. So I always think to myself, like, man, it's going to be terrifying watching that happen with my mom, because I actually am connected to her. I actually love her. I talk to her all the time. It's like,
Yeah.
it's just so hard to think about that. Like when you have that parent and you watch them actually transition like that, it's just yeah,
And
terrifying for me when it comes to my mom.
you're looking at it from the perspective of being 35 years old,
Yeah, 39. Yeah.
39. There you go. So think of it from a perspective of a, blossoming teenager.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's you know, it's I, I'm older now, and now my mom is 81. So,
Wow.
I'm watching my mom get sick,
Yeah.
but it's a tough thing to deal with when you're a kid.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. I actually interviewed somebody once. This my buddy Rob. This guy the guy Rob that trained with my brother. My brother's like a Muay Thai teacher, instructor, crew. They call them crews when they're like in that position. But he trained with him and everything. I interviewed him. He was telling me this story about how he literally, same type of thing. He watched his dad kind of pass away, but his dad was really mean as well. So it was like he
Uh,
was going through this thing of being young, and the guy was being really, really mean to him. And he's watching him just kind of deteriorate and pass away. And it was just like, man, like you said, it's like those things that like make you who you are, but it's like, like they definitely make you who you are, but you are also putting people through things that are going to make them who they are. So it's like stories like that really make me cognizant of that,
yeah.
where it's like you want to be as good as you can as you're putting your kid through that. And, God forbid, your wife, whatever. But yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, I didn't mean to take a dark turn with that, but
On a lighter note,
yeah.
no, yeah, it's just, yeah, it's life. It's life. And those are the conversations, whatever. I talk about whatever. But yeah, man, when it comes to tattooing, do you know anything? Do you know, I can't say his name. Do you know anything about Japanese tattooing?
Yeah. I have I wouldn't say I'm not an expert on any of this. There's different guys that got big um throughout the years that are held in high regard for tattooing.
Do you know about the
Um
really old guy? What's his name? Let me see if I can find him. He used to tattoo the Yakuza and stuff all the time. Where is he?
like the Hiroshi and people like that.
Yeah, I think that's his name.
Yeah, there's like the Hiroshi, the first, second, third. There's a couple of them throughout the years,
Yeah, he is. There he
and I
is.
always say their name wrong
Of course.
every time. Every time.
That goes without saying, of
There's
course. That's
probably
why.
gonna be somebody that's watching this. It's gonna like be cursing me up and down because I didn't say their name right.
Yeah, this guy, really old guy. I'm pretty sure you said his name correctly. That's the name that I remember.
I
And
mean,
so cool to hear this guy talk about tattooing.
Yoshido Nakano. Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so, I don't know that much about him. But I would assume that he kind of went under that tree.
But
That I'm
he is
talking about.
that name that you just said, that is him. That's what he goes by. That's like his first name, but that name you said, that is him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, so I even get some of the first, second, third mixed up. Um, I'm definitely not as versed in that area as I should be or want to be. Again,
Yeah.
like I said to you earlier, if I don't know, I'll tell you. It'll be just because I don't want to ever put out like false information.
I
Um,
just
I-
I really got turned on to tattooing. Well, I got really interested in the history when it came to this guy, just because he's
okay.
just always doing gang members, the Yakuza and whatnot. Obviously, Japan, like those are going to be the primary people for a long time that he was tattooing. And it's just so interesting to see him be so old. Like, if there was one person that I could get tattooed by and like hoping he's still alive, it'd be this guy. Like, I have no desire to go to Japan or China or anything, but I would go solely to get tattooed by this guy. And I would give him like a huge, like whatever he wanted. If he wanted my whole leg, I'd give it to him, both my legs, like whatever.
Yeah. I think that most of my stuff that I've been doing research on and studying on has been more guys from the UK, guys from the United States. I did do an episode where I talked about Polynesian, the different styles of Polynesian tattooing and the culture that's surrounds that. But this is definitely an area that I want to dip my toe into. Now, the guy that I do the live stream with on Sunday nights is very well versed in, you know, Japanese tattooing and stuff like that. And
Oh, really?
I get a lot of my information from him as well. But there were guys that, you know, had a lot of correspondence with those guys from Japan, Ed Hardy, Cliff Raven, Don Nolan, those are the big three that started to really bring that style of tattooing to the United States. They're considered to be the guys that just like I talked about, Good Time Charlie and Jack Rudy bringing the Chicano fine line style. Well, Ed Hardy, Don Nolan, Cliff Raven, those were the guys that really started to bring it to the forefront in the United States.
Yeah, I never really realized how much this looks like, talking about that old guy, how much that looks like his tattoo style. Like, I never really thought about that because, like, how much it looks like it's influenced by Japan. Because that's like one of their, like, it kind of looks like one of those Chinese dragon head things that they usually use, that picture at the side there.
Yeah, so that guy in the middle, that's Ed Hardy, with
Is
like a tiger. He's
Yeah.
got a black sweater. There you go. Yep, that's Ed Hardy.
Wow, he looks like such like a nice dad.
Yeah, he unfortunately is starting to he's not hasn't been on feeling too good lately. He's a little under the weather. He's dealing with some health issues.
Oh, wow.
Um his shop in San Francisco just closed its doors this
No,
past
really?
year. Yeah. His son is a very well respected, well known tattoo artist though.
Really?
So
I didn't know
yep.
that. That's crazy. It closed.
And to be fair, he did a really good job of documenting his whole career. So, he's going to be one of those guys that is going to be in the history books that people are going to be able to read about almost all the details about his tattooing career. He's very well organized, very documented. Um,
So he just decided one day to just license out his name. That's how that whole thing happened with the clothing.
yeah, I'm not really sure how that all went down, but that's how I understand it. He sold the
Wow.
rights to his name for clothing, cologne, fashion stuff.
Honestly, smart guy. I mean, this stuff swept the nation in its
Yeah, I
eight.
mean, he was in the forefront of. He created one of the first tattoo centric magazine. It was called Tattoo Time.
Really?
Um, yeah, it was him and a guy from the East Coast. Actually, his name was Ernie Carafa. Ernie Carafa was a very well known, respected tattoo artist on the East Coast who had ties to some. I guess he was in the Navy at one point, and he had ties to this guy that was doing publishing for like Navy or military magazines, and that's how he was able to get the publishing for. They weren't really magazines; they were kind of like a book, like a soft back book. They were thicker. You know, it's not like your typical like, you know, flip through kind of magazine. It was more like a book, but
True.
yeah.
True. So when it comes to tattoos, what do I have here? You already told me your first tattoo. What do you think your best tattoo is?
Ooh, I don't
Yeah,
know, man. That's tough. That's like
yeah,
trying
it's
to.
very
I honestly, it's probably not the most elaborate tattoo, but
Mhm.
it is that bird right there.
Cool.
That was done by a gentleman. His name is Lal Hardy. He's over in London. He got to be like kind of catapulted into that rock star status in the late 70s. He was the guy that was tattooing all the punk rockers when punk rock was like starting to really blow up in the London area. He did so I went there just to meet him. I was
Wow.
on vacation, but I reached out to him before I went and I said, "Hey man, I just want to come say hello, introduce myself, you know, talk to you." He was he was the nicest guy I've ever met. Like he pulled up a chair, was like, "Come on, sit down." Me and my wife, you know, I sat there while he tattooed a client. Uh, Believe it or not, before he even started the tattoo, the guy came in. He was like, "Oh man, I think he was getting his chest done," and he said, "Hey Lyle, I want to get some of that numbing cream." And he was like, "Ah, you pussy," you know, like he goes, "You know, it's going to take like an hour to set in," and he was like, "Yeah, I don't care." And then he looked at me and he goes, "Come on, man." And like we jumped in the car and he took us like sightseeing in his area, Muswell Hill. Oh,
Really?
yeah, man. It was like he took us to this palace at the top of Muswell Hill that they created. It was supposed to be like the counterpart to Crystal Palace because that area back in the day was like, you know, for like the poorer people. And, you know, he showed us that. And then he was like driving around. He's like, "Oh, that's where the bass player for Jesus Priest lived." And this, like, I was like, mind blown.
And you never
And then
met him before?
never met him before. And then I sat
Wow.
down with him all day. We were talking about like during his time of tattooing, his upstairs is like a museum of British tattoo history. He talked about the time of him coming to the United States and seeing like Leo Zaletta and those guys doing tribal, and it blew his mind that he just never seen that before. Um, and then we get like he gets done tattooing that guy. We're talking a little bit more, and he's like, "So what do you want?" And I was like, "I wasn't planning on getting tattooed. To be fair, I wasn't even planning on being here this long. I was like there for like 6 hours or something."
Wow.
And he goes, "Nah, nah, nah, come on, mate." He was like, I said, "Well, you know, like I want to, if I'm going to get something from you, I want it to be like one of your, like, I wouldn't say like your pieces, but yeah, you know what I mean?"
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he hand drew that on my arm and just, it was supposed to be American traditional colors where it would have been like the black, the red, the gray. And
Yeah.
then he was like, "Man, you hold color really good. You mind if I go, this is your deal, dude. Let it rip." And then it, you know, he wound up popping the blue and the yellows in there, and it's amazing looking tattoo.
That's beautiful. That's a
Yeah.
beautiful story. Did you film any of that?
So I did. I didn't want to do an interview with him because I felt like it was overstepping my boundaries.
Bro, you're in his car, you're around the
Yeah,
town.
but I did do a video about it. It was like one of my first video, not one of my first, but it was at the beginning. It's not the most well done
Did you
video.
like film him like sitting down talking?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
there's like pictures of him tattooing me and stuff like that, and even
Wow.
just like pictures of me and him walking through that park at the top of Muswell Hill.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so I say this a lot. Tattooing to me is about the experience. It's
definitely.
not always about the greatest tattoo.
Mhm.
For me, it's about sitting with the guy that's, or the girl, the person that's doing the tattoo, sharing that experience, having good stories. It's a lot where the history stuff, you know, started to pile on for me.
Mhm.
Um, it's not always about the greatest tattoo. Now, there are people out there that don't really care about that. They just want the greatest, latest tattoo, and that's fine. But for me, it's about the story. I mean, I had Marvin Moskowitz. We just talked about his family.
Yeah.
Tattoo me while I stood up and put my foot on a stool, and he did a tattoo that his family is like known for. It's like the puncher.
Okay.
And you know, he said to me flat out, he's like, "Look, I don't really tattoo that good these days." And I said, "Doesn't matter. It's about the tattoo. I want the tattoo." And he
Yeah.
did it. He did it on my leg, and it's, you know, it's a janky tattoo. It's not the greatest tattoo, but hey, it was a Marvin Moskowitz.
That's amazing. Moskowitz tattoo. What's it called? The puncher, you said?
Yeah, it's like the punching baby or the baby boxer.
Okay, let's put baby boxer. I don't want to put punching baby into my search engine.
Yeah. It's like baby boxer tattoo.
Let's see.
It's like the little Joe Kid kind of.
Oh, nothing comes up. Let me see here. I probably spelled Moskowitz wrong. Baby boxer. Nothing comes up with baby boxer. That's crazy.
Do you like baby boxer tattoo or?
Yeah, I did. I did tattoo baby boxer and like nothing came up. It's so weird.
Kid boxer tattoo.
Jeez. How do you spell Moskowitz? Is it M-U-S?
It's M-O-S.
M-O-S. Okay.
K-O-W-I-T-Z.
Yeah, I thought so. Moskowitz tattooers.
Yeah, like Stanley and Walter will probably come up.
Yeah, let me see. Here, I should show you this. Is this one of the guys? Here, take this.
So believe it or not, that guy right there is in the top right. That is Marvin Moskowitz when he was a young kid.
Wow.
That's so it's off the walls of S&W. So that's Stanley and Walter. So that's his uncle and his dad.
Wow.
They had a S&W tattoo supply at one point. But yeah.
Crazy.
And his grandfather would have been Willie, who was the guy that was tattooing with Charlie Wagner.
Wow. That's very interesting. Let me go over this. Crazy. Yeah. I can't find it, but yeah, it's definitely about the experience, man. That's exactly what it is. Whether it's a good tattoo, like I got lucky and got some good ones, but I mean, you know, like this one is like, it's like an upside down mushroom and it's not the best and it's itchy sometimes because it's so black and the guy just grinded it in there. But at the same time, I was touching down in LA for the first time. We're like on this crate, like I said, my buddy became like a millionaire. He's just like, he's going nuts. So we're just going all around America. And we touched down in LA. It's like, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I call my one friend that I grew up with. I haven't seen in a while, my buddy John. I'm like, John, come with me. I'm like, I need to find a tattoo place. Like, he's like, okay. Look, this guy's like an executive. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, okay, let's go. So he meets up with me. We find a tattoo place. He's like, this is crazy. And I'm like, I know. I'm like, but you know, lots going on with my life. We're figuring things out. And we get the tattoo. I wanted one guy who did this like cool geometric half mushroom, half knot. And I couldn't get him. So instead we got this guy, Mr. Memo. That's what his name was. Mr. Memo. That's what he called himself. Mexican dude. And I'm like, whatever. I just want a mushroom. I'm like, just do a mushroom. Who cares? So I'm like, make it look poison. Like, make it look poisonous.
Nice.
He's like, cool. He's like, okay, no problem. And the tattoo was just talking to Mr. Memo, but also talking to my friend that I hadn't seen in the longest time that I went to high school with. And we were just talking. And I was getting that tattoo done. Right after we were done, we jet to the Comedy Store. It's a comedy club on Sunset. We get there. We see Punky Johnson, who's like now on Saturday Night Live. Worst stand-up set I've ever seen in my life. It was terrible, which we all laugh about to this day. Like if I look at my buddy and I say, who's the worst comedian in the world? He's like, Punky Johnson. I'm like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but see, it's that whole experience of that.
Yeah,
that day and night.
It was amazing. It was just so fun. It was just like that's what it's always been about for me is like going out like this. The one I got on my hand, we were in Vegas and my buddy, he's going to meet Mike Tyson. We're all
Oh,
going to meet
wow.
Mike. We're all going to meet Mike Tyson. And I'm like, I don't care about Mike Tyson. I'm like, I want tattoos. That was the deal. My buddy's like, we're going to go to all these places. I'm like, the only way I'm coming with you is if you let me get a tattoo in every state that we go to. So he's like, cool, done. So we're about to go meet Mike Tyson. And I'm like, I don't care about this. I don't want to do this. Like, I want a tattoo. I want a tattoo right now. And I want it on my hand. And we just stop at a place just on the strip. You just find this guy. I think his name was Ryan Cush. And at the time, I was a big smoker. So I was like, that's cool. Cool enough for me.
Okay.
And the tattoo wasn't supposed to be this way. It's like right side up with my hands like this. He wanted to do it the other way. That way, when my hand's down, it's right side up. And I'm like, but listen, I want to be able to go like this in pictures. I went like, oh, and have a
Okay.
mushroom covering my mouth. And he's like, sorry, didn't realize. That's perfect. He's like,
Yeah.
so he's just like, okay, let's do it. And we just sat there. Again, I'm with like one of my best friends. He's going through this crazy change in his life. I'm just on this trip, and I'm just getting tattooed. And it was just such a cool experience to just be. I'd never been in Vegas before. It was just getting this tattoo done, spur of the moment, the pain, the joy, the fun of it all. And yeah, it was just wild. We come out, my buddy's like fighting with this black dude that's like trying to sell CDs and there's money in the air and he's like, he's picking up money off the ground. I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing? It's such a wild experience. But yeah, it's always about the experience, man.
Yeah,
Always.
for sure.
I've always felt like when it comes to getting tattoos, even like the ones that aren't planned, they feel so spur of the moment, but when you look at them later, they're exactly where they're supposed to be. It's almost like the tattoo artist is like an archaeologist, and he's like uncovering what was already there in a sense,
I'm not one of those spur of the moment people. I can honestly say that. I've just recently started to do that. My past 3 were kind of spur of the moment, but up until that point, I think that other than my first one, they were all pretty well thought out, planned out tattoos. And it's a personal thing, right? Like a personal preference. Like I don't like the look of I call it like sticker, where it's like, person's got like 100 different tattoos on their arm. I was always about like I wanted the bigger pieces. And I had a piece done that was an Alex Gray piece. Alex Gray did a lot of work for Tool albums back in the day. Matter of fact, that right there is an Alex Gray Tool poster.
Yes. True.
So the guy did that. It was 6 5-hour sessions to get the tattoo done. And the guy wanted to talk about conspiracy theory the whole time. Look, I'm all for it. I can handle it. But after a while, you're just like, bro, can we please talk about something else, man? Like,
wait, you said 6 5-hour sessions?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. You get to that 3rd, 4th, 5th hour, it's your arm feels like raw hamburger.
Yeah, definitely.
It's tough, man. Like I know now I can't do long sessions like I used to.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be able to sit 5 hours, no problem, man. You wanted to go 6, 7? Sure, let's do it, man. I don't know what happened, but I got to like, I don't know, probably like 45 or so. And I went, man, tattoos hurt a lot more than they used to. Like, I guess my pain threshold dropped or something, but I can't do long sessions like I used to.
Damn, I didn't know that was a thing. I better get everything I want quick.
You know what? I didn't know it was a thing either, but the more and more I talk to older people, it seems to be a thing.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. All right, so I'm gonna make sure to get all my stuff done ASAP.
Yeah.
Soon as I can.
You might be one of those rare people, man, that it doesn't matter. You could be 70 years old getting tattooed and it doesn't bother you. But I know me personally and a couple of my friends, they're like, yeah, like the one guy is a tattoo artist and he's like, dude, I can't even do 2 hours anymore.
Wow.
He's
Really?
like, 2 hours, I'm done. All right, next. We'll come back, whatever. But the tattoo, I don't even know if I could like, let me see if I could do this without messing all my whole setup up here.
Yeah, knocking everything down.
So that, yeah, I can't really.
Yeah, I see it. Okay, yeah, I see exactly what that is. That's the thing with the multiple faces, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't help that I'm hairy like a bear right now.
Yeah.
I got my summer sweater on. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of detail, a lot of stuff that went into that, so that's why it took so long. Um, you know, I'm a big dude, so I'm not really like you'll never see me out in public with my shirt off type of dude. I'm like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I always said if I was thinner and was built, I would get my back done. There's a Alex Gray, it's like the Tree of Life or something like that. I would love to get that done on my back, but it would be
Really?
pointless to me do it right now because nobody would ever see it. So it'd be a waste of money.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. But like you said, the experience, right? You know? Who knows? Let me see. This is the thing that you got on you, isn't it? Maybe I'm wrong here. It's part of that, right? Like it has
No,
multiple faces.
yeah, so that's a variation of it. I had the
Okay.
one prior to that. It's a yellow and purplish.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. But it's
Yeah,
like within that realm of things.
yeah, yep,
True. Wow. Wow. Very interesting. I want to,
yeah,
oh, is
dude.
it this one? Are you talking about that tree of life?
I don't see it. I still see the other picture.
Oh, let me see here. Share this tab.
Yeah, that's the one I would like to do on my back.
Man, do it.
If you see the full picture of that, like on each shoulder would be like on the one side is the sun and the other side is the moon.
Mhm.
It's like a perfect like form for a back piece. But you know, man, you're talking probably 100 hours or something.
Yeah,
That's
I
that's
bet.
that's going to be, a couple years probably to finish a giant back piece like that. There's so much detail in it.
Yeah,
Plus a lot
especially
of money. I don't have the money for that.
yeah, I was gonna say it's the money, and then also it's like if you
Hey, if I
can't
get a bunch of subscribers eventually, maybe. Yeah.
yeah, you'd be surprised what that can do for you. It's crazy. But yeah, man, I'm trying to find my first piece. This is actually the first interview I did here. Share this tab. This lady right here, the one in the corner there where it says the process. Let me see if I can pull her up close. Her name's Jay Inky. So when I first started doing this whole tattoo thing, where is she? Does she still have Instagram? Oh, it's not there anymore. Damn, she probably changed her name. But she was incredible. That was the
Yeah.
first person who tattooed me. The first person I interviewed as they were tattooing me. She did the tattoo. We filmed it, and then from there, I after I filmed it, I sat down with her. We talked, and it's funny because she could like tell I was like really nervous.
Yeah.
She called me out on it. I was like, yeah, this is very nerve wracking for me. I can't.
See, that's the thing too, though, is that, people don't realize there's tons of great artists out there that are not the ones that you see on Inkmaster or that are not like superstar tattoo artists. There's plenty of really good tattoo artists out there that don't have a huge name. And I'm not trying to knock anybody that's got a huge name, but there's plenty of people out there that are just your average Joe person out there tattooing that do phenomenal work.
And they're just committed to the work. That's the thing, right? It's the
They love it. They love the
yeah,
craft.
yeah, yeah. Those people are very special, and if you're not looking for the notoriety, and they're probably like just doing it old school, and old school. I mean, like the career sense, just kind of committing to a body of work. There's a big thing in that for every creator that can learn from that. Robert Rodriguez talks about this. He's a filmmaker from Austin, and he talks about just committing to a body of work. And
You're gonna have Some serious editing to do, dude.
Man, I'm so sorry about that.
It's not your fault. Shit happens, dude. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, man. My wife, she like looked into the area, the coverage, and it was like showing like where the outages are, and it was just like everywhere, just for like miles and miles. I was like, oh god,
Typical Texas, man.
crazy.
Unfortunately, my
Rock.
in-laws live in just south of Temple, Texas.
Oh, okay. Temple's nice.
Yeah, I forget the name of the town, man. It's like this little podunk town.
I like
There.
Temple. Temple's supposed to be, I believe it's one of the safest places.
I would say it's probably pretty damn safe, dude. It's a little tiny town.
Yeah, yeah.
But I, last time I was out there to visit, the father-in-law's since passed, but last time I was out there, I really enjoyed Austin. I made a pilgrimage just to go to Antone's. It's a club in downtown Austin for that's where Stevie Ray Vaughan kind of cut his teeth doing gigs.
Wow, really?
Yeah, he would do like 8-hour sets there, man. Like between sets he would go and like super glue his fingertips back on so he could finish the gig.
Wow, really?
Yeah. That's why
no pics. Jeez.
That's why his there's a statue of him at what's that, the Lady Bird Lake or whatever.
True.
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't even, oh wow. I didn't realize that at all. Like, well, why it was there. But I guess he loved the place. Yeah, it's a great place. I think what it was is I was looking into conservative places because the wife and I, you know, being you don't want to be too close to downtown Austin. It gets kind of wild. Like where Joe Rogan's club is, it's like insane. It's just
I heard
every night it's just wild and there's fights and you know, like it's just crackheads everywhere and you know, it's so you want to be outside. I like being outside of Austin. There's places like Leander and like Wimberley and like all these different places, but when I was looking up the most conservative places, I saw I think Temple was on the list. Pretty sure Temple was on the list.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of the town that they live in. It's just south of Temple, and their town has one light in the town.
Oh wow.
Yeah, man, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the town.
Wimberley's a lot like that as well. You go to Wimberley, it feels like it's just college. It feels like there's a university nearby. You're seeing all these like college kids like everywhere, but there's no college or university in sight. And it's just this real small town. I only saw one light there myself. Maybe there's two, maybe there's a few, but in the small little downtown area we were in, we spent a lot of time over there, and there was just nothing. It was nice. I love being in places like that.
I know that we had talked about that being a possibility for us. The problem is we moved to Arizona a couple of years back. Lived there for about 9 months, and then my job moved me back. So,
true.
My brother still lives out there, and he's like, dude, lots changed since you left. He's like, it's like California 2.0 now.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. My wife was talking about Arizona too. She was looking into it and everything. And yeah, I didn't know it got like that.
It's funny, man, because when I was out there, I went out there after we had moved back, me and my buddy, just to ride. There's a lot of great roads to ride bikes on.
Yeah.
And we were coming down the I-10, and there was a sign for a billboard. It was a guy that was running for senator or whatever. And it said, I'm so-and-so. Don't California my Arizona. That was like his thing that he ran on. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
You, man. But I don't even remember what we were talking about when we stopped.
Man, when we stopped, I was talking about a body of work, and I was talking about Robert Rodriguez, and he talks about like dedicating to a body of work and like not caring about the clout and the fame and all of these things. When you were talking about like doing things for your soul,
right?
He talks about just dedicating to a body of work. And we were also talking about some tattoo artists who are amazing, but they kind of just move in silence. They just have their clientele and that's it. and they're not
Yeah.
focused on the Instagram, tattoos and whatnot. And yeah, just committing to a body of work. And I was gonna also touch on how, you talked about not feeling like you're doing the most you could with your channel. And it's really about committing to a body of work in the sense of, for us as video creators, just getting stuff out there. Because I've noticed that I've made 2,000 videos, maybe more. And I've noticed that every single video you do is just, it's like another step to the staircase,
Right.
And I'm sure tattooing's like that as well. Every time you make one, you learn something, you learn about the people you're covering. And, it's just, so it's like just about making the content. And if I likened it to a tattoo artist, it's just about getting the tattoos done, making sure it's good in tattoo world, right? You can't do a bunch of botched jobs, but in our world, you can, like, if you really just decide, I'm going to make a video, I don't know, every week, maybe 2 a week. Like, I don't know what your frequency is now. What's your frequency now? It's like,
so I have at least one live stream a week. I try to put out a video, like an actual episode, every 2 weeks. It depends on where I'm at, because sometimes I will put out a interview that I do with a person.
yeah,
Easy enough. I mean, I like to throw a lot of B-roll in. But like a history episode, it's I
that's
can
a hard
do
one.
less. Yeah. So it's tough. I wished that I was in a niche that was a little easier to do stuff. Like, I'm a big fan of, like, Simon J. Wills, Hannah Ricketts, Spanion.
Who are they?
So, like, Spanion he was a rapper at one point. Like, so he was in prison for a long time. He's from Australia.
Okay.
And then he came out. He was a rapper. He was successful in that. And then he had enough money from doing the rap thing that, he created a channel that was like, he travels all over the place. Then he has, like, a certain segment of his channel. It's called In the Hood, where he goes to, like, the hood in, like, Australia or the hood in, like, Rome. Like, so he's got that. And then he also does, like, another section of it. It's called Spanion Eats, where he does, like, a lot of food stuff, because my boy can eat.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is like him just walking around and talking. Same thing with, like, Simon J. Will. The only thing I will say about Simon J. Wilson is that he puts a lot. You could tell he is studied at the school of Casey Neistat.
Oh, okay.
Just by the way he films his stuff. And where he is different is that he'll do, like, he did a full series of going from Boston to California with no money.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so he'll do cool stuff like that. There's this chick, Hannah Ricketts, that I watch, which is I'm a huge fan of, like, the UK, England. So she's based out of London. And a lot of it is her, like, going to different stores or different restaurants. Like, she's just started this series not too long ago where, like, on Tuesdays she does everything from, like, low end eateries to high end eateries. And then on Friday nights she does, like, hotel reviews, from, like, your basic kind of joint to, like, the Claridge and the Plaza, is, like, super high end stuff.
True. Well, I mean,
easy stuff.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, when you can move around and you're kind of living that, from the sounds of it, that traveler type of life, which I would love to do. Like, I kind of do it, but I don't film when I go to certain places. Like, we were traveling all around America, and we're gonna, like, do the West Coast next, and we want to also, like, we want to see the Midwest. Like, there's a whole bunch of places we want to see, but we've been doing the whole thing of, like, Ohio a lot, Nashville a lot, Texas, New York, of course. And we want to start doing, like, Florida. We want to definitely see California and everything around there. But I mean, if you're not moving around, you don't have the ability to do that. I always tell people, when it comes to content, just do the thing. Like, if you wanted to, let's say you wanted to do, like, daily content, it would have to be something that you do daily in your niche. So if you have a if it's tattoos, it's like, what could you do daily? It's like you could critique, but you're not into critiquing. So that probably wouldn't be something. Like maybe it's covering a tattoo artist, maybe it's brief, maybe it's like like there's a lot of different things you can do, but it's all about doing the thing, in my opinion, doing the thing that you would do naturally. Like the things that you see me do and talk about, I do that naturally. Like when I go upstairs, I'm talking to my wife, we're talking about the same stuff. We're like, we're still
Yeah.
talking about conspiracy, we're still talking about the news, we're still talking about metaphysics and like all the weird stuff I talk about, ghosts and paranormal and stuff. So for me, it's like that I just concentrate on that because that's going to happen either way, you know? And
Yeah.
you have anything like that that's within what you like, the realm of tattooing, it's like just start doing that. Because the thing is, a lot of times people feel like their videos have to look really good and it really hinders them. And some people might disagree with this, but 50 videos that don't have the best production, don't have the best editing, are way better than one that has great, not like super good, not like studio level or massive money production, but like just great editing, good put together stuff, like decent. The 50 videos outweigh that so much more. Not just because of, it's not just that you're putting out videos, it's better for the algorithm, you and the algorithm, that relationship that you're building, because every video you put out, you're building a relationship. It's better for the algorithm. It's better for your channel. It's better for you as you grow, because the more you put out there, the more you realize what it is you want to talk about. And that's the only advice I have for people who are struggling with like getting content out. Because
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how long you've been following the channel, but it's like I used to struggle with that so much. It used to be like a video, maybe, I'd have like a streak of like every day for like 30 days. And then it's like I'd disappear for like 8 months. And then I come back and do like 3, and then I disappear for like 2 months. And yeah, it was tough, but
I've never been able to do every day.
yeah, it's hard.
When I started, I was at least once a week.
Once a week is pretty good. Like I'm doing the interviews, like what we're doing right now. I'm doing that once a week, and I like it. It's something I always wanted to do, so I feel good doing it. It's very different than what you've been seeing me do for like the past like almost 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still good. There's still value to it,
Yeah.
I think.
Well, I mean, I think you gave me some good ideas to, possibly come up with some stuff on a day. It doesn't have to be crazy long either.
That's the thing, right? Everybody feels like they have to live up to some imaginary standard. It's like there are people who put out 8-minute videos and that's it. It's like it's fine. Yeah, like the people who actually like your channel and like you, they'll be fine with an 8-minute video, and they'll also be fine with like a 30-minute video. And some of them will be like, I wish this guy would do like an hour and a half video. But it's like they're
Yeah.
good with you. You know what I mean? It's like they're
I
very
noticed
accepting.
I noticed that I get to a certain point lengthwise. You can see I don't know if you use like vidIQ or whatever, but
Yeah.
like I use that, and then like you just looking at your analytics and you can kind of see the little bit of taper off or whatever, so you can kind of gauge on how long you should be.
You
I
can
mean,
you can see that taper off, but you have to remember when you're looking at that, it's giving you an assessment of not just the people who love you, because there's some people in the amount of subscribers you have that love you. You're seeing everybody. You're seeing people who aren't subscribed, who are subscribed. You're seeing all of that. So you're seeing a lot of fair weather taping off. But
mhm,
anytime you see like even like watch time average, you have to remember that, let's say you make 30-minute videos and your watch time average is 12 minutes. You're seeing the average, but the people who love you, they're staying for the whole video. They're
mhm.
with you the whole way through.
Yeah.
And there's no analytics for that, for who really loves what you do. I noticed that because in my second channel, I made a video recently where I let everybody know that, sometimes I overcompensate with clips and I have some kind of imposter syndrome at times, and it's hard to keep up with 2 channels. And I know some people don't like when I talk so much, but like this channel's gonna be about me talking more, and if you don't like that, like, kick rocks kind of thing. And you'd be surprised how many people were like, what do you mean? Like, you're amazing. Like, why wouldn't you talk? I want you to talk more. It's like, it's
Right.
hard to gauge how many people are really there with you, riding with you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I just kind of do what I do and hope it works. And I mean, look, I take directions from my analytics and
Mhm.
feedback from people that I know listen to all the time. But there's just you're always. I'm a firm believer, like you just said. Each video, if you try to make it a little bit better than the last time,
Yeah.
eventually you'll get to where you need to be. It's just it's a tough game. YouTube's
Yeah.
tough. There's how many million videos out there, and the thing is that I need to take a look at a lot is I think I saw a statistic that said like 13% of the channels are monetized. So if you're falling in that 13%, you're doing okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not lighting the world on fire with monetization or anything, but I am monetized. So,
There you go.
you know, um
Yeah. Not an easy feat either.
no, no, and that's let's take that back into the realm of tattooing. I mean, there's going to be people that are going to realize the craft is a lot harder than they initially thought it was going to be, and it is a lot of work. I mean, I did a short I pulled out of one of the interviews that I did. This guy's been tattooing for 15 years. And he said, look, if you want to do this, you got to draw every day. And then
Mhm.
when you think you drew enough, draw some more, because it's a craft that you have to put a lot of work and effort into. And you might not make a lot of money right off the bat. And it might be a while before it catches fire. But if you really love it, it's not going to matter. See, the problem is that um, there's this thing they call gatekeeping
Yeah.
in the tattoo world. They feel there's a lot of younger people that think that the old heads used to gatekeep, and it wasn't about trying to hold back information. It was about giving the information out when they thought you were worthy of getting that information.
Mhm.
Because if they started to give everybody the information, the market would be saturated. Well,
Mm.
where are we at right now? So, you know what I'm saying? Like, you start to see
Yeah.
both sides of the picture when you look at, you know, their way of thinking and then the new person's way of thinking, and you start to see both sides. I think that we as a country, we as a people need to get back to there are some gray areas. There are two
Mhm.
sides. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't always need to be this side versus this side. There are sometimes, some of the stuff meets in the middle. And I think that Justin and I, who I do the live stream with on Sunday nights, he's an older generation guy. He's been tattooing 25 years. Um, we're trying to bridge that gap between the old guys and the new people,
That's
because
smart.
to me, it's like there's some value in there. I think that there's some things that the new people could learn, and then I think there's stuff that the older generation could learn, specifically social media and how to market. Because let's face it, the days of word of mouth or, standing out in front of your shop barking like you're at the circus are over.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you don't kind of change with the times, you could see things kind of going south for you. And, it sucks, but doesn't
Yeah.
matter how long you've been in and how big your name is. If you're not, willing to change with the times, I think you could be, treading water.
And talking about meeting in the middle, it's like, if you don't change with the times, you could end up going away. And if you don't have that old knowledge, you could end
Mhm.
up not going the test of time. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it
Right.
is like they do need to be in the middle. Because even as you were telling me that, I was like, it's so weird that an older guy wouldn't take the newer guys and like just hire one of them to just be like, do my social media. Like, like you could literally, if a new guy, like, let's say, we're talking about like these Instagram tattoos, a lot of those guys who do those Instagram tattoos you're talking about, they're well versed in social media. They do it really well. Like you go
Yep.
to their page and then all of a sudden there's a thing sent to you, a DM, and they want to know about your next design. I've seen it happen a dozen times because I follow so many accounts, and I'm like, wow, these guys are like, this is like a real hustle in the business part of things. And it's nuts that an older guy doesn't see that and grab onto that. And it's like, I'm going to teach you, you're going to teach me, and we're going to like make this thing grow together. Like it just makes perfect sense for that to be happening. I don't know.
Right. It's the perfect handshake.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
So I think some of that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, where there are some of these older guys that maybe don't want to take on too much of the new stuff,
Yeah,
and bring in new people because their mentality is, well, you work for me for 3-5 years and you're just going to up and leave, and then you're going to open up a shop right down the street.
yeah, true.
I don't know what the answer is. It's something that we're going to try to peel the layers of that onion and try to meet in the middle and try to help everybody out.
The answer is there has to be a bend. There has to be a
Right.
bending of, you can't look down on him like he just works for you, and you can't look at him like he's just like a temporary meal ticket until you open up your shop. There has to be a partnership there. That's what I think would change everything. If there's a partnership, don't look at them as just like this shithead apprentice. Look at them like this is a guy who's like should really be partnered, because my shop is no longer just my brick and mortar. My shop is my Instagram. But I guess they have to like really understand that part to get it.
Right. And they're also running into problems where some of the younger folks are giving pushback about the apprenticeship stuff. Why I feel like you brought me on board just to mop the floors and take out the trash and but they're not looking at the bigger picture, which is, well, eventually further down the line, you might open up your shop and you need to understand what it takes to keep your shop clean. And, let's face it, tattoo shops aren't a sterile environment, but they try to keep it as sterile as they can, because it has to be safe in order for you to do tattoos and people don't get infections and don't have problems with their tattoos. So, I think that they need to look at the bigger picture with that and say, okay, well, at the end of the day, they are teaching me something. Now, that doesn't mean that, shop owners should take advantage of apprentice and they don't show them anything and all they do is clean and, take out trash, because at the end of the day, what's that person doing there?
Yeah.
I think though, over time, a lot of that stuff has won away. I've heard plenty of horror stories about guys that did apprenticeships that were just downright brutal. And that's one thing that I've seen change that I think was a good thing, because that is the thing that didn't need to be there. Like, we joke about it all the time. Like, I remember being, 18 and going to get a tattoo and walking into the first couple tattoo shops. And it was like, whoa, these are some rough dudes in here, man. Like, head on a swivel. Like, am I going to get, smacked around?
Yeah.
I don't think it needs to be like that anymore either, because, everybody should feel welcomed. It's a place of business. You shouldn't walk into a tattoo shop and be worried about like somebody judging you or saying some nasty negative stuff to you.
Yeah.
So I've seen things change that I agree with 100%. And then I seen things change that I don't agree with, but there's got to be a happy medium somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm sure there is. As things change, I shouldn't say change, as things, I guess age out, as certain people age out, you'll see that kind of thing change. And like you said, there was, who was it? It was Sailor Jerry, and he was like, seemed like very hard nosed. And then all of a sudden, these other guys were kind of like weed smoking hippies, like you said. And then I'm sure the culture changed there. And then, it's like it gets more relaxed. Maybe the hippie types all of a sudden take on more hippie types, and now all of a sudden that culture's changed completely. It's it's interesting to see. It sounds a lot like comedy. stand-up comedy is very much like that as well. It's like, but in stand-up, there's like this unspoken apprenticeship, and the apprenticeship isn't really under a person. It's more just at the shop, which would be the comedy club. You just go there, and there will be someone who is older, and it's very unspoken, but they will slowly take you in and help you craft things better, or let you, keep most of the time, just like keep your head up after you bomb, because you're just starting out and you're going to bomb all the time, right? um that'd be like the equivalent of like blowing up someone's skin or something with a tattoo. It'd be
Yeah.
like that type of thing. Like, I'm sure that's how it feels. Well, I know that's how it feels in terms of bombing. For sure, it feels terrible, but it's very interesting, because yeah, it does sound a lot like that, where there are some guys older in comedy who have been, they're not super famous. They've been doing it for like 30 years. They're known in their town, and that's it. And they're real hard about it. And there is gatekeeping. There is a lot of gatekeeping. They'll make sure that you're gatekeeped. If you're a little funny, maybe you're becoming really funny very fast, there will be a little bit of gatekeeping. There will be a little bit. Someone like me who who has like this following and isn't living the life of an open micer, because like
Mhm.
I'm like a touch above an open micer. You know what I mean? I can get paid. If you brought me to a place and you said do 15 minutes, I could do the 15 minutes. I could get paid. I could be professional. I could do all that stuff. But a lot of the guys look at it like you're a YouTuber. You're a YouTuber that's doing comedy. so
Yeah.
so for me, it's like I kind of I like circumvented the whole thing. I kind of just like moved around this whole stage of comedy where you're supposed to be broke and sleeping in your car and this and that. And I'm like, nah, I travel the country, and like, I got this following, and I make money. So
You know,
a lot of them don't like it. So it's gatekeep to that extent, even. It's
I've seen, Joey Diaz take Lee under his wing,
yeah, yeah,
and
exactly.
Lee was in the same position as you, right? Like, so he was known for their, what was it? The Church of What's Happening Now or
Yeah,
whatever that they
yeah,
used to have.
yeah.
And, Lee started to go out and do his thing, and he would talk about him bombing and stuff like that. And,
Oh yeah.
um, from what I understand, I mean, I haven't seen Lee lately, but I heard he's gotten a lot better. So,
Yep. Yep. And
you
that's the
know,
thing. You end up getting a lot better. And, you do have somebody who's like, even like the mothership's a good example, because Joe actually wants it to operate in a kind of an apprenticeship way. He wants there to be older, more seasoned comedians and newer people. That's why he's one of the only places that has a open mic twice a week, like dedicated comedy club that has an open mic twice a week. Usually wouldn't do that because you want to make money every night, but he has the money, so he does it. And you will see that. Like, I was in the mothership, I just bumped into Joey Diaz. It's like, that's it.
yeah, he seems like he would be cool as hell to hang with, man.
Oh,
I'm gonna be honest with you.
exactly. He's one of those guys I've met. Well, I've met online. Eddie Bravo, my buddy Mike Plaster, introduced me to Eddie Bravo because they work together. Shout out to Mike Plaster, love you. I've met Eddie Bravo. I've met Joey Diaz. Exactly the same. Like they're not changing. It's not a character that you're seeing on screen. It's like they're
Yeah,
exactly the same. They're those people. It's amazing. It's the best when you meet somebody like that and they are that person. It's not different.
yeah,
Yeah, Joey Diaz was cool. Really, real cool, real down to earth, because he killed. Everybody was in like standing ovation. People were so happy. Nobody knew he was going to be on the show. He just arrived, and people were going nuts. And then after I see him, I've told the story before, right away he's like, I was forgetting my shit, dog. I kept forgetting my shit. Oh man. And I'm like, Joey, nobody knew you were
you're right.
forgetting anything. Like, you were incredible. He's like, nah, I gotta tighten up. He's like, he's just like, I'm like, you're Joey Diaz. What are you talking about? But
That's because his stories are epic, dude, and I think he
exactly.
wants to nail every part of it.
Exactly,
Um,
exactly. But like, it was great. And that's the thing about the mothership, and some other places are like this as well. But you could bump into somebody who's a big comic, and maybe you talk to him for 5 minutes, and maybe you just say, hey man, like, any advice? Or maybe you saw my set, where did I suck? And again, there will be a gatekeeping towards, if you're an open micer who they've only seen around for 6 months, a year, well, then they don't want to give you that information. But if they've seen you around for a long time and you're getting funnier and you have some good jokes, you're getting laughs, now they're like, and it seems like you're in it for the long haul. Now they're like, okay, gonna give this guy some information, you know?
Like they see you're putting in the effort.
Exactly. Like you actually want to be there. Like you actually want to be there, you know?
Right.
You know, and I'm not a gatekeeper per se, but if someone came to me and they're like, I want to start a channel, I would just give them the beginner information. I wouldn't give them the information that I work with every single day, because first off, they won't understand fully. They won't be able to use it really. They won't even be able to understand it. Like, you know, about vidIQ, I could have a conversation to you about how to use vidIQ. That's why I said to you, I'm like, oh, you like, but you can't see the people who really love you. You got to think about those people. That's something that you have to learn after you get to know vidIQ. But for most people watching, they don't know what that is.
Right.
So I would give them the beginner knowledge. I'd be like, okay, make 100 videos and, you know, have fun, and don't worry about making money because you're not going to, and don't worry about being good because you probably suck. Like everybody sucks when they're just making videos.
Amen.
And then if I saw later on that they had 300 videos, I'd be like, oh, this guy's going for it. He's trying to do it. He's monetized now. Like, oh, he wants to, okay. You know, it'd be like a different conversation. So I don't even know if it's gatekeeping or if it's just like, you know, why, yeah, as mean as it might sound, like, why waste your time right away with somebody as soon as they start?
That might not even put the effort in.
Exactly.
And I, you know, I got lucky. There was a guy that did biker news that I used to watch back in the day because I was involved in that world. And you know, I knew I wanted to do this, so I reached out to him and I said, hey, you know, any advice? And it still blows my mind. He emailed me back and he's like, here's my number, call me on this day at this time. And he gave me like the quick down and dirty beginner of use this to do this, use this to do this. You know, if you can afford it, pay for like story blocks or Envato for music and stuff like that. Like he just kind of gave me the basics, and it was enough to get me going. And I thanked him, and I can't thank him enough for doing that. And you know, I've seen him get overtaken by some newer guy that does it, you know, a lot slicker, flashier, maybe had the money to put in behind it for production and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have any ill will towards the guy. I mean, you know, it's just YouTube's a different beast.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta, you know, you can't be mad at you can't be mad at people trying to feed their family, you know? Like some people are like, oh, why don't you make this video and this video? It's like, you don't pay any bills here. Like,
yeah, I mean, like I just always say to myself, man, I wish I was younger and I didn't have the bills and stuff that I have, because it would be a hell of a lot easier for me to maybe take some chances in the leap of faith and be like, all right, I'm going to do this full time, where I could focus and do videos every day, no problem. But you know what? I can't afford to do that. I have to have a day job because I got, you know, a mortgage, and I got car payments and bike payments, and you know what I mean? So
yeah, it's rough. It's rough for a lot of people. Yeah, you gotta do what makes sense for you. Like, you know, I tell people my story all the time. I was lucky enough. I had my wife. She was working. I was in the film and television industry. Around 2020, they wanted everybody to do the thing on set, and I was like, nah, I'm not doing the thing. And I had to just do Uber Eats. And luckily, she was my girlfriend at the time. We weren't even married yet, but luckily she just had no problem with that, and I was able to take that leap of faith. So it was a combination of like taking a leap of faith, having faith in God, and really just going all in. Like, I made a decision. I'm like, I'm just gonna go all in for 1 year. If I can float, then I'll float. But if I can't, then I'll turn around, just get a job, because there's no more time to mess around. I'm in my 30s now, and I want to be a dad and I want to be a husband. I'm like, we gotta get this going or not, kind of thing,
I mean, like I don't have any tattoos on my hands. I have nothing on my neck. You know what I mean? Because I've
true.
had to keep a corporate America job.
True.
And as much as tattoos are accepted in this day and age, they're still frowned upon in certain environments.
Yeah,
I think that's changed quite a bit since Iraq, Afghanistan, because there's this push for hiring of military people, which deservedly so. As far as I'm concerned, those guys should get first dibs at a lot of jobs that are out there.
Yeah.
Well, in order for them to be hired, though, people would have to accept the fact that some of those guys had tattoos.
Yeah.
It's part of that culture. So that is starting to break down those walls as well. It's kind of weird how it's tattooing's always been involved with military, right? And throughout each wars, you could kind of see the shift in mentality towards tattooing. So much so that now there's I think there's 5 military bases that actually have tattoo shops on base.
Wow. I would love to get tattooed at one of those places.
I don't even know if you can. I mean, I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't even know if like the general public could go to them, but it's they, from what I saw, the articles that I read about it, it was A, to keep the guys safe, the soldiers safe, and then it was B, to make sure that guys weren't getting tattoos in spots that fell out of regulations.
True. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, man, it's getting more accepted everywhere. I mean, the reason I got my hand tattooed is so I couldn't go. It was 2 things. I didn't want to be able, because I'm like all in on the way that I live and doing stuff like this, working for myself.
Mm-hmm.
My mom worked for herself. She started a company when she was like 52. It's been very successful for her. And I was just like, I don't want to work for someone else in those worlds. So I got the hand tattoo, and I also did it so I can't lie about my use of psychedelics. I can't deny it because
I mean, you're walking around with a mushroom on your hand.
Yeah, exactly. I used to work with a lot of doctors. When I first started doing videography, I started working with a lot of doctors. That was like my first gig, working in like the medical field, which was really weird, the health industry. And a lot of them were using psychedelics. And I would be like, man, like, you should talk about this. Like, you've seen these amazing benefits and this and that. And they'd all be like, no, you can't do that. It was a lot like tattooing in terms of acceptance. It's like, no, it's not an accepted thing. They're keeping it under wraps. They're not doing that. They're not talking about that. And I always remembered, I'm like, I don't want to be in a position of success and have the ability to lie about how that success was achieved or one of the things that helped me get there. So I made sure to just get it on my hand.
Right on.
So it was like we were talking about the tattoo and how I got it before. It was planned that I would get a hand tattoo, but we just didn't know when or where. So it was like spontaneous, but also like in my mind, I was like, I want my hands tattooed. So
I mean, I've seen some amazing tattoos that I'm like, oh man, I would totally rock that in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a guy, I think he's out of Iowa. I could be wrong about that, but his name's Big Meese.
Okay.
He does some amazing black and gray work that I was like, man, I would definitely. He does some really cool hand tattoos that are like, they're designed to fit perfectly on the hand. And I'm like, oh man, I would rock one of those in a minute. But it's just, you know what? My luck, I would do that. This YouTube thing don't work out. I would have to get fired, and then I'd have to go find a new job. And then like I roll into the interview, and they're like,
and you're like, listen, this guy, he's out of Iowa. You gotta
yeah, he's an amazing tattoo artist.
This is made to fit directly on the hand.
Yeah. They're like, okay, next.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's rough, but you know what? Like, you just got to keep going at it, and something will come about it. Hey, you mentioned you wanted to do some kind of show. and then I remember I mentioned it, you mentioned something as well, that you were like wanting to do something. You're like, it's not going to take away from what I'm doing. Like, what were you thinking about?
Are we still recording?
Yeah. Oh, you don't want to say it and record it? Okay, don't worry.
We'll talk about that after. I don't want to give out, because it's a good idea, and I'm like, if I give it away,
I'll talk about my idea then. So I want to do a show in the tattoo realm. I've wanted to do this for a long time, and I was already doing it because I got Vegas, I got Hawaii, I got LA. I even have Canada. Like, these ones are from Canada. But I wanna do a show where I travel America and get tattooed in every state. But I also, and the reason I bring this up to you is because I figured you knew some stuff about history, is that I also want the show to be a little bit of tattooing, a little bit of maybe journalism, maybe politics, maybe just personal growth, and then a little bit going into the comedy world. That's what I was thinking of. Going into like by nighttime, it would be going into a comedy club, doing some stand up, talking with some comedians. But so it'd be like an Anthony Bourdain show, basically, like his show, Parts Unknown, back when he was doing it. It would be something like that. And I've already got the answer kind of just from talking to you, because I was thinking of like, how would I go about the tattoo part? But I think just from talking to you, it would just be like delving into the history, because just from talking to you, I've learned that there's actual families. So some people actually come from families. Mm-hmm. I've learned that there's different styles of tattooing, which I knew already, but we delved into it a little bit more. And then those people who are tattooing me probably have some kind of inspiration. Then also, I'm learning from you that America's history is so rich with tattooing that there might be a wild old story in every place as well. So I don't know if that's true, but that's kind of the picture I'm getting painted here.
Yeah, I mean, if you look, okay, perfect example, right? Like I'm from the Philly area.
Yeah.
Legendary character, icon of tattooing, Philadelphia Eddie. Boom, there you go. Like, there's tons of stories about him. Right across the bridge was Sailor Eddie and Esther. New York City, tons of legendary guys in New York City. There's, each town has their local legends. Some of them have one above and beyond local. Like, I guarantee you, if you ask somebody in California right now, you ever heard of Philadelphia? Oh, absolutely, I heard of Philadelphia Eddie. I mean, like, that's so, see what I'm saying? So, but there might be somebody from California that doesn't know about, like, Eric Perfect, who's from Philly, who's pretty legendary at this point. He's been in a long time. So you could definitely do that, man. I think that there's value to that. It's just doing your little bit of research or asking people that wink wink nod nod, that might know some people in the area, and go from there.
I might have to hire you as the head of the tattoo department or something.
I'm in. I mean, like, there's Chicago, believe it or not, like Portland, Oregon.
I could see that.
Even in Texas, I know some couple pretty legendary dudes from Texas. The Shaws actually wound up being down in Texas as well. They were on the Pike in California for a long time, and then they had a shop open in Texas. There's still a guy right now in Texas. I don't know what his last name is off the top of my head. We call him Tattoo Doug. He's down in like the Corpus Galveston. That's it. He's down, and he's got American Dragon tattoo. So there's a lot of the dudes kind of migrated to different areas. I mean, we talked about Good Time Charlie. He went from California to I think it was like Wyoming or something. I can't remember where he went off the top of my head. See, that's the thing, man. Dude, I could do an episode and whip out details because I remember stuff, but I'm horrible at remembering names. And and you know what? I have a hard time with names and places a lot of the time. And that is actually why I have a really, really bad habit, which is hard for me to curb while I'm at work. But um, I had a really bad habit when I was doing sound where I couldn't remember people's names. And I had a bad habit of saying dude all the time. So I would
Yeah.
call everybody, hey dude, what's up, dude? Because I
Yeah.
couldn't
Yeah.
remember your name.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So it's weird because like I can do an episode, got everything down pat because if I forget, I could just all right, look, okay, good. But like you catch me on an interview or a live stream, and I'm like, yeah, I can't remember. So, but a lot of guys migrated, throughout the country. It was funny because Sailor Eddie Jr. said to me during the interview I did with him, um, Philadelphia Eddie actually wound up going out west and open up a shop in California at a short period of time. And he was like, he found out real quick that, East Coast guys can't do well on the West Coast and West Coast guys can't do good on the East Coast.
Oh,
I don't
really?
think that's necessarily true anymore, but they may have been back in the day.
True. Okay. But yeah, I feel like it's transcended just because of like Instagram, social media, and everything. Like in
Yeah.
terms of like knowledge and styles and figuring out things that way. Let me
Yeah.
see here. Sailor. You said you talked to.
Sailor Eddie Jr.
I'm just looking for it.
So
There's some things I gotta watch on your channel because you have a lot of. You know what? Like as you're talking, I was like, why don't you just like, I'm not saying for like every day, but you should consider like you're doing these interviews. That's good. So you're talking about these fun stories that are happening, people's histories. Why don't you just talk about like research, figure out like outrageous or cool stories that happened in tattooing with like the older guys and maybe even some of the newer guys?
I do try to include some of that stuff when I do history episodes.
But why don't you just do that? Like, just make it that thing. Like, this story is about the guy who got his ball sack tattooed. You know, you know what I mean. But like like whatever the crazy story is, and
Yeah,
just break down that story like 10 minutes. That's a video.
that's a good pool, man. I could definitely do that. I actually have a video. I made it a short of a guy I interviewed that talked about having to tattoo some guy's
Wow.
private area, and I was like, and I put the clip of From Life with Eddie Murphy, and where they're like, "What, dude?" Because I was like, that was probably what my face looked like when he was telling me. Because I was like, "Bro, I can't believe you just said that out loud." Like,
Wow.
but what's cool too is
What kind of
that
tattoo was it?
uh, I I think it was like a name written on the guy's. Yeah. But matter of fact, that tattoo shop that kid worked at, I interviewed the owner as well. That is a haunted tattoo shop,
Really?
and I am kind of on the fence about the whole haunted thing. I
Oh
had
man,
some stuff happen to me in Savannah, Georgia, and then
no.
I had some stuff happen to me in that shop, and I walked out of that shop going, "Yeah, this is legit, dude." They actually had the ghost hunters there, and I went home and watched it. And that kid Tango and Steve or whatever that were on that show,
Yeah.
they were outside during that episode, like sitting down, like, whoa, man. Like, and I said, you know what? They actually looked like they were scared shitless because it was real. Like, I don't know how many
What
of
happened
these
when you were in there? What
fake.
happened? Tell me the story.
So I got two things that happened. Well, three things actually.
Okay.
Um, so the first thing, I was walking around the shop doing B-roll.
Okay.
So if you were to look at the shop, the right side of the shop looks like a regular house, and the left side of the shop looks more warehouse kind of. So
Okay.
you could tell it's two different styles that were merged.
Mhm.
I didn't know that when I got there. Um, the owner and her boyfriend, who's just passed away last year, um, were like, "Okay, man, go ahead, and we'll go outside. We're gonna smoke a cigarette, and we'll come back and we'll finish." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, cool." So I'm walking around and I'm like taking pictures and video, and I go upstairs in the new side of the building. And the upstairs was this cool lounge with these bookshelves that were all the way around. And they had like tons of like tattoo history, flash, all kinds of books. So I'm like kind of like, and next thing I know, I'm filming, and it sounded like somebody was walking up behind me. Now, granted, the stairs
Oh,
are almost in front of me to the right.
yeah.
So whoever's walking, I thought they were up there.
Yeah.
There was nobody up there, and you could see me like panning around. And then next thing you know, man, you see me stop, and I could hear it, and you could hear it. I amplified the sound on the
Yeah.
video. The
Yeah.
next thing you see is me going and boogieing down the stairs, because I was like, whoa.
Wow.
So the second thing that happened to me was I sat down to do the interview with Sophie from Convent Tattoo in Deptford, New Jersey, just in case anybody's interested. And I had my lavalier mics with my camera, but I had brought this secondary Zoom recorder with me because the week before, one of those mics crapped out, and my audio for my Eric Perfect video was a little janky. So I was like, I'm going to have a secondary just in case. So me and Sophie are joking about that. And I was like, and she was watching me, and I go, yeah. And all I got to do is hit record, and I pull it up, and we're both looking, and I go, yeah, you can see the levels. So yeah, we're cool. And I set it down. I get done the interview, and I go, oh man, Sophie, I got to stop this and just double check this. I click stop, and then I did something else real quick, and then I went back to the thing, and I hit play, and there was some dude talking, and it wasn't me or
No,
her.
no, 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 no
And
way.
it was like really deep and low. And I was like,
No.
so then when they were on the Ghost Hunters episode, there were a couple dolls that they had that were supposed to be haunted.
Oh
Well,
no. Didn't some guy just die messing with a haunted doll recently? Oh
yeah, I'll
man.
tell you about that in a second. So, after that episode aired, every week, almost every day, they get haunted dolls sent to them from all over the world with notes. Can't have this doll in my house anymore. This, that, the other. So they have these little things, or they call them spirit balls. It kind of looks like a cat toy, but you move it, the lights inside of it go off.
Okay.
So as I'm talking and here and there, like some of them are going off, and I'm thinking to myself, this is some bullshit, dude. So let me go stamp over here, and I'm stamping, and none of them are going off. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, okay, well, what's going on? I'm standing there, and and Sophie said something about the dolls, and I go, yeah, I don't have a problem with the dolls per se, but I'm like, I really don't like clowns, and you know, dolls kind of creep me out a little bit. And
Yeah.
as I start talking, and I was like this one right here, and I turned, and all of a sudden the spirit ball just started like boom, 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 like going off as I'm like,
Oh man.
but in the shop, man. So they got all those dolls. The guy Eric, that was her boyfriend, he had some web page where you could purchase memorabilia from serial killers. Like he has original,
Really?
yeah, like he has original John Wayne Gacy paintings, Richard Ramirez. He had like letters that him and they wrote back and forth to each other, like all this crazy shit. And I'm thinking to myself, why would you bring all that bad juju in your house? Or the other
Yeah.
thing is,
So hold on. So these guys, wait, so this is all happening in one tattoo shop? Like the people who have the guy who has the serial killer stuff
who
also
died of
has
cancer?
he passed away. They have this haunted tattoo shop, and they have haunted dolls and serial killer memorabilia.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like you're just asking for it, bro. So
Yeah.
I got to this spot where I was walking around. Now my stuff was full tilt power, and I got to this spot that was in between both shops.
Yeah.
Batteries died, and I'm like, so they both said to me that when Ghost Hunters was there, they were having the same problem. They said that there's something about, so those are two buildings. That the one building was actually across Route 42 at one point, and they eminent domained it and moved it, and they merged the two buildings. And some spiritualist or whatever came in there and said, dude, you tried meshing together two houses that were haunted before they were meshed together. So now you created this like holy shit soup. Yeah. And I'm like, so you can actually watch the episode on the Ghost Hunters episode on YouTube still.
Come on. That's crazy.
They've had numerous paranormal teams come in there. I mean, they don't shy away from it, but it is definitely some bad stuff going on in there. Not bad, but
bad enough.
Yeah, like
bad enough, man.
Holy. You wouldn't catch me in that shop at night by myself. That's for damn sure.
No, never.
Yeah,
never.
But going back to the guy that dude, oh, this is so creepy, dude. That guy was taking that doll Annabelle, touring it across the country. Lorraine and I can't think of the husband's name, but they were like the paranormal investigators.
Yeah.
Like they were older. So they were part of like Amityville horror investigations and all that stuff. So the Warrens, Lorraine and Ed Warren.
Yeah.
Had that doll. And they had that doll under like lock and key. And they were like, don't ever move this. Don't ever open this door. Da 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 da. Meanwhile, this guy, I guess, bought their haunted museum that they had. So like they were taking all their haunted shit back to their house, like Ghostbusters, where they put the ghosts in the locker.
Wait, their house. Which story is this? Does this still have to do with those tattoo people with the
no? I'm trying to explain.
The guy with the Annabelle doll, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What was he? Was he a ghost hunter or what?
Yeah. So I think he had something to do with Ed and Lorraine Warren's little ghost hunting thing that they had. So when they passed away, Lorraine passed away, I guess he got all their stuff or whatever. And I know the guy from the one TV show, the younger guy, Zach Bagans or whatever, he opened up that museum in Vegas and he bought some of their stuff or whatever. But anyway, the day that doll showed up in Gettysburg, PA for the Gettysburg Tattoo Expo, the day that they took that thing out and put it on the desk, everybody in the state of Pennsylvania got an alert on their phone saying that the 911 system went down.
Wow.
Then 2 days later or whatever, they go to move it again, and the dude that was dragging that doll around drops dead. And apparently the place that they had the doll in before burnt down. Like wherever the previous place was that they had the doll burnt down. I mean, look, dude, I don't know if it's true or not, but that's some serious coincidences.
Yeah, I don't even like looking at pictures of that doll.
Yeah, like, dude. So needless to say, Sophie and them have a bunch of those dolls, and not Annabelle per se, but they got some creepy dolls in there, man.
It's funny because I was talking with this lady, another interview I was doing, Gigi Young, and she was talking about how the Japanese believe that when you've had something for a very long time, that your spirit can become like in that item, and items being possessed, items having spirits and whatnot inside of them. So it's like when I hear about the doll, it's like, for me, it's not out of the question at all that there could be something in that, and there could be something in many dolls. I think that's just a major possibility, a major possibility, which I don't play around with whatsoever.
Yeah. Like I'm not one of those guys that I'm not going to be like screwing around with a Ouija board or any of that stuff. Like I'm not trying to tempt fate, man. I got enough about my own bad stuff that goes on without any help.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's just, yeah, you're not supposed to play those games, really. You're really not. Yeah, I don't, not even for a second. And I don't care
Yeah.
what it sounds like. People are all superstitious, this, that. It's like, what, why try? Like there are some people, like I remember my brother played with a Ouija board. I was like when I was really young, and I was like, this is nonsense. Like they didn't do it in our house or anything. My mom would have beat his ass. She's from the island. She's from the
Yeah.
islands. They believe in that stuff. They see voodoo priestess and all sorts of things in the islands. So they don't
Yeah.
play with that stuff at all. But yeah, he played with it. He had a horrible experience afterwards. The girls that he was doing it with too, they all had everybody had horrible experiences that played around with it. It's like, okay.
So, Sophie has said on numerous occasions she's really not had any issues there. They do have some stuff where like maybe a lights will turn off or a radio will turn on by itself,
That's
or
way too much for me.
they pick up stuff all the time on their night vision like cameras that they have in the shop. So if anybody broke in, you could see, right? But they see stuff all the time on there. They have clients every once in a while that are like, oh man, it feels like somebody's watching me, or somebody touched me on my back. I didn't have anything like that go on, but like I said, I saw enough of my own that I was like, okay, it seems legit.
The part where you said that there was somebody talking, that is
Yeah,
that's
yep.
crazy. Because I don't play around with it to the extent that like my camera's been on the whole time. I'm not going to check into that 2 hours where my camera was on and I wasn't here. I'm not checking. I'm deleting it right away, and that's it.
Well,
no, I'm not tempting anything. No,
I got to be honest with you. When I edited that video, I scrubbed through everything on that video
for sure.
For each one of I interviewed Sophie. I interviewed this other dude, and then I interviewed the one girl that works there. And there was something, I caught this weird, like almost like a voice in the background. It's actually, I made a short out of it. You can see it on there. And it, I amplified the sound so you could kind of like bring it up to the front, but you could definitely hear something in there. It just seemed, yeah.
And nobody knows who used to live there or anything like that.
I think Sophie tried to do some research on the lady that lived in the first house, but she had said that like the ghost hunter guys did some research as well. And the one lady that owned the house where like it looks like the house part of it, she did die in the house. And then the people that lived in the other side on the property, that there was the house that actually stood there. I guess before they built that like new barn looking building, they all died of like tuberculosis or something back in the day. Like it was like a whole family of people.
Wow.
Something to that effect.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. That's enough to do that. I remember where I grew up, there was a house where there was a guy took his wife out and then took himself out. It's crazy. And then to see like people moving in, and anytime I see it, I'm like, do you know? Like, did they tell you? Because why?
They have to. They have to. It's
right.
Legally, they have to. Realtors have to give up that information.
Oh,
imagine spending like $300,000 on a house, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Whoa, what the hell's going on in here, man?"
I remember,
Yeah,
I remember working. I was working at some department store or something. Maybe it was like Home Depot or Home Office or something. But I was working at this place, and there was a woman, there was a girl who's like a manager, and she like just moved in to this house. She was like engaged to this guy, and the stories she would tell us were so crazy. And it was exactly what you said. Like they bought this house, really nice house, but it's like she's going into the kitchen and there is a cup like on top of this drawer that she can't reach and her husband can't reach. And it doesn't even get to like that. Like that sounds like enough. There's times where comes into the kitchen, all the drawers are open and all the stuff's on the ground. I'm like, I remember working with her and being like, you have to leave. Like, I'm like the one black guy, like, you have to go. Like, I'm like, you don't understand. And they're like, nah. She's just like some white lady. She's like, it's fine. It's completely fine. And I'm like, no. You don't understand.
Right.
You don't know what you're saying right now. You have to leave.
I'm out. I am out. Yeah, man. Like there's when I was doing sound for cover bands, right before I started like moving on to more professional stuff, there's this place in Fort Washington, PA. It was called the Bent Elbow at the time, and that place is supposed to be haunted. And up behind the stage, you go up into this room, and that was like considered to be like the band room. And I remember one night we were all hanging out, having a couple beers before the first set. We all left like our personal bags and stuff up there because nobody could get up there, right? You would have to actually go on the stage to go up there.
True.
So we all left our stuff up there. We all went. And then when we came back up, it was like this big round table.
Mm-hmm.
We came back up and all the chairs were stacked up on the table.
Oh, no.
And we were like, okay. I grabbed my bag. I was like, I'm not going back upstairs tonight. I'm good.
Yeah, right. It's like,
yeah. But, you know, I mean, we're in this area, especially in like the Northeast. I mean, it's, you know, such, you know, long periods of history here. Yeah, it's just like London, dude. I don't like London and Paris, like cities that are millennium old.
Yeah.
There's got to be some like, and if that were the case, how come you don't hear more horror stories from that area?
Yeah. See, yeah, that's actually a really good point. That's a really good point, actually, because you know, like even my sister-in-law, she has a house that's, I think it's about 100 years old. I think it might be like it's 18. Yeah, it's more than 100 years old. It was like built in like the 1800s, late 1800s, but she hasn't reported anything. And they have like a creepy basement, like a creepy, like low, weird concrete at the bottom type basement. It's like
Like an old root cellar.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's like a big thing like that. And yeah, she hasn't reported anything. I don't know. I don't know, man. I think there's a combination of things when it comes to stuff like that. I think you have to be open to a certain degree.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think you have to be open. I really do. You have to be like open to it. Like I think when like you tell that story about like going and seeing the chair stacked up, like maybe there's like a certain collection of energy that's between all you guys, a certain collection of energy and belief and a little bit of fear for anybody who maybe heard this the about it being haunted beforehand. And you know, it's like I think there's a certain concoction that happens to where stuff like that can happen. And then you have to be in the space where there are things. I really think that's a real thing, you know? It's weird. Mm-hmm. But I stay away from it. I stay away from it for sure.
Yeah.
Why did you stop doing sound for cover bands?
So I was doing cover bands, and then I was doing original bands that were with record labels and stuff like that. And you know, we were doing some pretty big shows and whatnot. No major tours. Like I wasn't with the Rolling Stones or something like that.
Yeah.
But we were doing some, you know, I was doing some pretty decent gigs and stuff. And, you know, I just got to a point where all that stuff sounds really good on paper. And then as you get older, like I started to hit like 30-ish, and I'm like, man, there's no way you could get married doing this and have a family. And I mean, and there's plenty of people that do it. Don't get me wrong. I just couldn't do it. So I just got to a point. And then, you know, I also had a bad situation with one record label that kind of screwed me over. And I was like, that was like the last straw. So I just was like, you know what? And then, you know, when I decided to possibly go back to doing it, it was kind of too late, because that's when a lot of new gear started coming out with these digital boards and all that stuff. And
yeah,
I would have to like reteach myself how to do everything all over again. And I was just like, yeah, you know.
Yeah, that's like bound to happen. Like record labels screwing you over. It's just, it's such a shady business, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I have a degree in music business from Art Institute of Philadelphia, and one of the, you know, like artist management classes that we had, you know, they would go over like how record deals are structured and what the payout is for albums and songs and stuff like that. And one of the stories that sticks into my mind a lot is we were always told that, you know, when Boys to Men was all over like MTV and stuff like that, and they were like, you know, they were everywhere.
Mhm.
Those guys were still like living in their parents' houses in West Philly because they signed one of the most horrendous record deals ever known to man. I guess it was Michael Bivins from Belle Biv DeVoe.
Mhm.
He had signed them to some like ridiculous record deal, and they weren't making any money. But if you look back historically, um, even way before that, you know, the guys in the 50s and stuff like that, all those guys like Chubby Checker, Little Richard, they were all getting ripped off
Of
big
course.
time, big time. I think the record industry now is very independent. I mean, there's bands like Radiohead and stuff like that that release their own stuff. They didn't even go through a record label.
Yeah,
I think
that's how it
that
needs to be, man.
they don't need these big money machines anymore. Um, it's gotten to the point where, so there was a time that even if you couldn't make money off of a record, uh, you could make money touring. Well,
Mhm.
eventually record labels got their hands into that.
Of course.
So like for you to recoup any type of money that they put for you know, production and stuff like that, it's almost impossible. So then at one point, these bands, the only place they were making money was off of merch. Well, from what I understand, there's people now that are getting screwed by record labels for their merch. So where do you make money?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The 360 deals. 360 deals just they take 360 degrees. So everything that is in your orbit that you're doing, they take. And it's a wild thing. A lot of rappers get signed to that type of thing. A lot of rappers get signed to that. And they just, you know, you're from the hood, you're young, you don't know much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you want to make the dream happen.
Yeah.
They kind of convince you that it's not going to happen without them. You know, if you decide to like go your own, you don't know really what you're doing. You're just a creative, so you really just know about the creation of the music. And then they just sign up and they get the advanced, not realizing how that works.
Yeah.
And they
You're gonna
just
have to
work.
pay it back.
Yeah, exactly. You just work yourself into a hole, and every single thing you're doing when you travel, this, that, it feels like they're taking care of it, but they're just like, well, this is just money you owe us. Like, okay, you
Right.
took a private jet, you're gonna pay for it, and like all the things are just things that you have to pay for. It's wild. And if you would go independent, like there's an artist, I don't know if you ever heard of him. He's a young guy. His name's Russ, Russ, and
Mm.
he's completely independent, owns all his own masters, all of his own music, everything just goes to him. He built a team, that's it. No management, no nothing like that.
Yeah.
And he's at a point where he's not the most well-known artist. He has a good following, people really love him, but he's going to make like $25 million this year. And it's just because it's all going to him. And it's like
Yeah.
all these artists should be in that position, but they sign up and they have wild things happen to them. And we don't even have to start about like all the stories about Diddy surrounding the record labels and whatnot. There is all sorts of stories about, you know, the ways that they coerce you into signing these deals. It's wild.
Yeah. I mean, I think that if you can at least hold on to your publishing rights, you at least got half a chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, you know, people don't know about those things and they're just like, "Oh, what do I care about publishing rights?" Yeah, sure.
Yeah, exactly. They just sell it
What
off.
little do they know that, you know, somebody could go 5, 10 years down the road, record your song, you could get paid big bucks for it. I mean, Dolly Parton did it. She, you
Yeah.
know, she sold or she kept her publishing rights and what did like was it Whitney Houston or whatever redid one of her songs, made her a boatload of cash.
Of course. Of course.
So
Yeah. It's a wild industry. So yeah, I'm not surprised you got screwed over that way. That happens. But it sounds like to me you were dealing with a lot of what I was dealing with, because when I was in the film industry, there was a lot of that. Um, there was a lot of guys, camera guys, sound guys and they would kind of like, I was just starting like right from the bottom, and they were all just very much like, a few guys were just like, yeah, you make a lot of money, gonna get divorced for sure, and that's just the way it goes. And
Mhm.
like, they're just very comfortable. A lot of, like, pretty much all of them get divorced. They're not around. You're going on to location. Maybe you're gone from the house for 6 weeks, and then you have to take another job right away. And then you're gone for another 8 weeks. And even if you're not gone, like, out of town, you're still working these 18-hour days. And yeah,
Mhm.
it was a godsend that I didn't keep going, because like you, it's like, I can't maintain a relationship like this. It just wouldn't work.
Yeah, and like, being on tour buses and stuff like that, I mean, it's not, you know,
Yeah.
not it's, it's different if you're the artist, dude, and you got your own bus to yourself or whatever, but you're on a crew bus and there's 10, 12 dudes on the same bus, and
Man.
8 of those guys decide that, let's see how long you can go without taking a shower, and the other 4 guys are like, bro, I don't need to smell that, like, stuff like that you're just like, dude, that's, when you're a young kid, it seems like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then as you get older, you're like, this isn't really
This is
what I
terrible.
signed up for. Yeah. So, and
Man.
then you realize real quick too, though, that you're just the help.
Yes. Yes. That is, yeah, that's exactly how I felt near the end. I was like, I'm just picking up the leftovers of everything going on, really. Even when I
Mhm.
moved up into the union and I was working in like set design and grip work, which is basically just like helping set up lights and things of that nature. Yeah, you just feel like the help, and you're treated that way. Like, I don't know how it is in music, but in Hollywood, yeah, they make you feel that. The actors, the producers, directors.
So one of the guys that taught me how to do sound back in the day, he was like one of the original guys from Saturday Night Live that did sound.
Oh wow.
And he had said to me at one point, and this is real early in my career, he was like, look, dude, you don't ever want to do sound for a band that you like. And I was like, why? Why, dude? Like, man, like, I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan. Like, dude, if
Yeah.
I got to do sound for Pink Floyd, it'd be like winning the Super Bowl. That would be the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
And then I worked for a band that I liked, and I instantly knew exactly what he was saying,
Hmm.
because that band, and it wasn't Pink Floyd, by the way, but that band, um, you know, they turned out to be kind of assholes. And I was
Yep.
like, wow, you just ruined it for me, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. 100%. 100%. You learn that with actors too.
yeah.
Actors, directors, you won't really know many. Like, if it is a super well-known director, you probably won't run into him all that much. They're very insulated by like camera guys and ADs and director assistants and stuff like that. But yeah, if you get to see some actors, you figure out who they really are. Like apparently Mike Myers, I've heard this like throughout the whole industry, Mike Myers is like a terrible person.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that as well. And I'm not even
Yeah.
in the industry.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely terrible. Jaden Smith, absolutely terrible person.
Mm.
Like, tears up buses, does terrible things. Like, as soon as his dad leaves, and just horrible. Like, you just hear it time and time again. And then it's like on the shows that you don't know, when you're working in film and television, the shows that you don't know, or you don't know anybody, or you don't care for the show, the people are great. The people are
Mm.
fantastic. Like, I worked on the show called The Boys, and the people who are in The Boys, it's great. It's like this weird anti-superhero type show. I worked on Jack Reacher. There's like a show called Jack Reacher. It was a movie,
I
and then
remember that.
they made it into a show. This big Jack guy running around. He's the nicest guy in the world. Nicest
I,
guy.
you know, so for like doing sound, man, when I got out of doing cover band stuff, because back then too, just so everybody knows it's listening, that was a time frame when there were a lot of clubs that you could do sound in, and those cover bands were paying like buku bucks, man. Like they were pulling like 8 grand a night doing
Wow.
gigs. And so the money was there, and it was fun, and it was, I got to sleep in my own bed every night and whatever. But um, after that, I mean, I went from doing sound for comedians, rappers,
Huh.
rock bands, you know, I covered all kinds of, I mean, I even got stuck doing like Christian rock one time, which is not really my forte, but I was like, "Hey man, I'm getting paid," you know?
Wow.
But, you know, like, it's just, it was fun while it lasted. Um, I have no regrets. It's just, you get to a point where you're like, "Okay, dude, it's either." I wished I would have went into like an A&R rep, P&R rep kinda thing.
Yeah.
Um, and I didn't, because at the time I was already making money doing sound. So I was like, well, why would I take a pay cut to take an A&R rep job? Well, had I done that and thought long form instead of short form, I'd probably be still doing it. Probably be I'd be living in a freaking mansion somewhere.
Very possibly. Very, very possibly. I mean, yeah, it's interesting, the little decisions and what they do. But it's like, I was just talking about this with my wife. It's like the things that don't happen for you, it's like usually like we always talk about God. We're Christian, but we're like God saving you from something when something
Mhm.
doesn't work out. So it's like it feels like it would be the mansion and everything, but also it could have been a wild atmosphere where if you like to drink, people would have been like, let's go. And
Yeah.
it could have been like a wild type of thing for you that could have like led down a terrible road, and maybe you wouldn't be like 11 years sober, or maybe like you just get like something else happens, something else terrible, but or maybe you're just completely unfulfilled with that life. Like there's so many
Well,
different things that you could have been like saved from.
to be fair, I mean, those years of being in that business are why I had to get sober. So
Sure.
you know, I did have my share of that fun. It was
It's so
just,
wild. Yeah, yeah.
you know, I also, you know, I just joked about doing the Christian band and stuff like that. And, you know, back then, I'm not going to sit here and, I wasn't very religious. I'm not religious by any means right now, but I have spirituality.
Yeah, yeah.
Back then, I didn't have any of that. So, any of that stuff that you were trying to tell me or whatever, I was just like in one ear, out the other. I mean, now it's a different story, but, you know, that wasn't, like I said, it wasn't really my thing at the time. I was like, "Hey, man, this kind of beat."
Yeah, right. No, I
You
mean,
know?
it's even if you are Christian, Christian rock usually isn't your thing. Like,
Yeah, like, I didn't get the whole, like, "All right, man, everybody, we're gonna hold hands and pray," and I'm like, I'll be outside
oh, you're
smoking."
like you're like at a worship set. Like that's like yeah, I've seen things like that. I have a friend who's always asking me to go to those things, and I'm good, man.
Yeah, like the bands that play, like, those mega churches down south at, you
Yeah,
know, the Ryman Auditorium, which used to be the
it's
Grand Ole
literally
Opry.
it's literally a lot of this, like just people just like this. It's like just
Yeah, dude,
hands up the
and
whole time,
I'm
crazy.
not knocking it, man. If that's what you're into, that's cool. I don't have any qualms about that. Like, I just, it's not for me, man. Like,
I hey,
I don't knock anybody that likes country music, man. I don't really dig country music either. But, you know, it's the same thing where it's like, hey, man, if that's what you're into, cool. Like you were
yeah,
talking about rap earlier. Dude, when I was a kid, I mean, I was there when rap started to break free, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, wow, this is the greatest thing ever. And then eventually it got to a point where I was just like, I don't get it anymore.
yeah,
Um, you know what I mean? Like when they stopped kind of like rapping over a beat and it flowed, is when they kind of lost me. Like I was
yeah,
like,
man.
this isn't like, you know, Run DMC and LL Cool J and the Fat Boys and all that. Yeah, like I was like, wow, dude. And then like Melly Mel and Grandmaster Flash. Like, dude, when I was a little kid, my favorite movie was Beach Street. I thought that was the greatest movie ever, man, because it had graffiti, it had rappers, it had breakdancing. I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. You wouldn't looking at me, you would be like, no way. But I'm telling you, dude, it was that was the shit back then.
For
And
sure.
then I don't know when it changed over, but I got to a point where I was just like, this doesn't make any sense to me anymore.
Yeah, man.
Like it's like you're just talking over a beat now.
Yeah, yeah, it's different. It's way different. What they praise, what they talk about, what's considered good, what's considered bad. It's all very there's whole episodes I could do on this and the whole
Mhm.
demonic shift of hip hop music. It's a wild thing to see. Very wild thing to see. And then also it's like, when did it shift? It's like you talk about like tinfoil speedos. Like, it shifted when the CIA got their claws into it a lot. It shifted a lot at that point. But I mean, that's been going on since forever. Laurel Canyon and rock and roll music, and there's always been these weird influences kind of.
You watch Chaos. It's on Netflix right now, man, where they talk about the whole MK Ultra and them.
No.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. I always hear Rogan talk about that book, and I've never picked it up and read it. And you're telling me it's on Netflix now. Oh man,
Yeah.
I actually have to watch that.
I just watched it the other night.
Wow. Okay. Good.
They dive in pretty deep into like how Timothy Leary was part of him and Jolly West were like part of the whole like MK Ultra thing. And
Timothy Leary?
Yeah, well, they really dig into the whole. It's basically how they feel like Charles Manson got zapped.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Can't wait to see this.
Yeah, he was hanging out at a clinic that was in San Francisco that
Ashbury.
That all the hippies were going to this clinic for VD treatments and stuff like that, and he was hanging out there all the time. Well, that dude Jolly West, who was part of the MK Ultra thing, was going in there, and he was like hand picking people to basically melting their brain and putting thoughts into their head.
Yeah.
So it's pretty deep.
Wow, I can't wait to watch that. I've been waiting to I've done my own breakdowns on stuff like that. I've always heard Rogan make breakdowns like that. There's different things on YouTube, but I want to see what Netflix actually allows in there, because it goes very deep, man. When you look into the whole Laurel Canyon, Ashbury goes very hand in hand.
Yeah.
When you look into how long it's been going on for a long time, and to just think that they stopped at manipulating the anti-war movement back in that day and they just stopped there and that's it. I highly doubt that. Highly doubt that.
It's there's still stuff going on. There's no doubt about it.
I think so, man. What's your worst tattoo? I forgot to ask that.
I have a tattoo on the back of my left leg that I let an apprentice do the tattoo. It was probably my fourth tattoo, and I knew immediately when he was doing it that he was digging way too deep. And he did it. And if you get a good tattoo, it should be almost like a light sunburn peel.
Yes.
He hacked me so deep that I had a scab that was thick like a shrinky dink, and it oozed color for like almost a week.
Really?
Yeah. Now that guy is a really good tattoo artist, from what I understand, up in New York now.
Huh.
So I just happened to be one of his first victims. That's all.
Yeah. He just bombed. That's all. He bombed on you.
And I swore from that day forward that I would never let a apprentice tattoo me ever again.
Wow.
Although I almost did let Jesse Martinick's son, who's the only fourth generation tattooer in America, tattoo me at the Reno convention when I was just there.
Really?
Yeah, he's he's little. He's 12 years old or something like that, and he's not doing like amazing work or anything like that. But man, he's getting into it, and I almost let him do it. I ran out of time. Really, had I had time, I'd be walking around right now with that little dude's tattoo on me somewhere.
Oh man, I would love to do something like that.
Yeah,
I remember. I forget what the kid's name is, but he was like the youngest tattoo artist. I forget what his name is. He's a little kid.
So I did an episode on her. It's a chick. It's a little girl. She was considered to be the youngest tattoo artist in the world. And I got a copyright strike on it from the people that actually put the news story out. They got me.
So, really?
Yep.
They did a strike right away.
A claim. Sorry, not a strike.
Okay. if it's a claim, look, you can always fight claims. Nobody talks about it because it's really hard to. It's not hard,
Yeah,
but it's like,
I
it's,
have.
yeah, you gotta. I
That
always
was
fight. I
that
always
was one
fight.
of those videos though that I was just like, it was kind of early in my channel, so I was like, whatever. But her mom is a tattoo artist and stuff like that, and she was brought up in a tattoo shop, so that she had like at least some kind of background in it or whatever. But yeah, it was like Sun News or something like that got me.
Oh no, it was this kid. So this girl must have replaced this kid because this guy's a 12-year-old artist. His name's Ezra. Ezra Dorman. That's
Okay.
his name. Hold on, let me just pull this up really quick. Ezra Dorman. Am I not sharing? Let me share my screen quickly. But this is a very interesting one because let me see this. What's this kid doing? Yeah, this little guy, he was like one of the youngest ever at the time. So this girl, how old was this girl that you're talking about?
Mm, she was little, man. Like I want to say like maybe younger than 10.
Wow, that's incredible. Man, that's wild. So this guy, I forget when he started, but he was considered the youngest. And I remember when I was doing Uber Eats, or sorry, when I was doing Uber, when I first started, I was doing rides and doing Uber Eats. And this little guy was one of my first rides.
Oh wow.
Yeah, him and his mom. Here, I should pull it up there. There. Him and his mom. This guy's name is Ezra. So he must be like he was 12 then. He must be like 19 or something now, maybe 20. But yeah, it's like it's interesting to see these little kids who have like this guy has like a like almost a decade under his belt of tattooing.
Yeah.
He's just been going at it.
Well, Sailor Eddie Jr. talks about that. I mean, he grew up in his grandparents' tattoo shop, and he was helping out at like 6, 7 years old. He wasn't tattooing at that age, but he was like running stencils back and forth or grabbing colors and stuff for his grandmom and grandpop. And then he was tattooing at like around 11 years old, I think. So he's been tattooing for 50 some years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. Crazy. See, and the thing is, like, you're talking about the young guys and the older guys, connecting, like that bridge. And it's like, I think about it in the sense of whenever I look at like farmers, I've talked about it before. Like in Texas, you can meet some people. I've met a few farmers who are like 8th generation, 7th generation farmers. Like it's been going on forever. And it's like, that's not knowledge that you want to see just die away.
Right.
The same thing goes for like a guy who's been tattooing for 50 years. You don't want that to just go away. You really want to be able to connect with that person, have, I don't know, whatever information he has. You want that documented in a way. You want that passed on properly. Like, I don't know, man. It's sad to think that might just drift away without some younger guy like getting a hold of it. A few younger guys, honestly.
So, and that is kind of where, I really wanted to go with this channel, where I was giving an opportunity for some of these older guys to voice, their career, talk about their careers and stuff like that, because, through the years, there's been some big name tattoo artists that have passed away, and, not everyone had the opportunity like Philadelphia Eddie, right? He sat down and kind of went through his whole career, soup to nuts, with a ghostwriter, and actually has, on Spotify right now, you can listen to him. It's when he was sitting down at his table, when he was, telling these stories, so the dude could write the book. Well, not everybody had that opportunity, and there's been a lot of guys that have, passed away since that didn't have that chance. And I have a lot of people that are like, hey man, you should interview, or you should do an episode on so and so, and I'm like, I won't do an episode on somebody that's alive. Because I would rather do an interview with that person.
Yeah,
to,
true.
to
Yeah.
me, there's more value with just sitting down and cutting it up with somebody and hearing their stories as they tell it. instead of me doing an episode about somebody that's alive. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And maybe I am shooting myself in the foot by doing that, but I'm trying to do episodes on guys that are no longer here with us. You know, the good and the bad. I mean, I did an episode on this guy named Roy Boy who was like, matter of fact, I think my thumbnail says the Tiger King of tattooing.
Really?
That dude was crazy. You know, he did have tigers and all kinds of stuff.
What?
He had like 3 tigers in the basement of his shop. Like, you know,
3 tigers in the basement of the shop?
Yeah, and then he had like a full blown like farm with all kinds of different animals and stuff like that. And you know, man, like he wound up dating this girl and they wound up getting married, and then somebody was like, "Oh, you know what, so he groomed her." And I'm like, dude, that's no, if that's what you're taking away from this story, then yeah, there you go.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I went into it as yeah,
That's
him right there. Yeah, Roy Boy.
Wow, he is literally the Tiger King of tattoos.
Yeah,
Oh, he looks wild.
See, I had to actually blur it out for YouTube because that's him holding a pew pew.
Wow, of course he is.
Yeah, like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the dude was like just crazy dude. But
I
yeah,
like that guy. I would love to get tattooed by that guy.
yeah, actually, you were almost there. It's like that's his shop. He had a pool table in the shop. Like, there's people getting tattooed. There he's working out, and then like the next scene, like there you go. There's the tigers in the basement.
Wow.
Yeah. So
legit tigers.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah, and there's people like that I want to bring to the, you know, to the forefront with, you know, maybe like obviously tattooers know who that guy is, but there's people outside of tattooing that might not know, but that might find that person being like interesting.
For sure. I'm very interested in this dude. And
yeah, man,
skull piece, right? Like that's what it looks like there.
He used to make these videos, dude. You could only get them on VHS, and that's where I pulled a lot of the clips from. They were just the craziest thing. Like, it would be him like jamming on the, and like him and his wife would do these skits, and it would be like him jamming on his guitar, and she'd be like, "I want to go out to eat," and he'd be like, "Shut the hell up! I'm trying to finish this song." Like, it was so white trashy, but there was like, you know, it was funny. And he was a good tattoo artist, dude. That you know, was in that Indiana area. You know, but there were people that commented on that episode that were like, "Oh, so he groomed her and blah blah blah." Well, he wound up marrying her, dude. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it was right or anything, but if that's what you were taking away from it, then
he's a wild guy. He's a wild guy. Like, listen, wild guys are gonna have good and bad parts of their story. This is insane. It's an actual tiger. This is in the shop.
Oh yeah, see the flash hanging on the wall?
Wow. This guy, what a guy. Who is this guy? What's his name? Roy Boy?
Roy Boy.
Roy Boy. I gotta look into this guy later.
His wife Deb is still tattooing.
Wow. And he's since passed away.
Yeah. He got into he was driving a rocket car and he wrecked it. And then he had really bad injuries from that. And then from what I understand, one of the tigers bit the wound.
Oh my God.
And that's what killed him, I think.
What?
Yeah.
That is such a stupendous way to go.
Right.
You're driving a rocket car. You got injured, and your tiger,
one of them,
one of your tigers, smelt the blood, smelt it, and then bit it. And then you succumb to those injuries. He's like a Game of Thrones character.
Yeah, so that right there is like a clip from one of his VHS movies that he put out. So this is the other thing that
comes for you, America, to get tattooed, the tattoo god will tell you, you know what? He's 100% right. That's very, very true. Very true.
He So this is the other thing that I think that where some of the older guys really kind of get that was the front of his shop.
Yeah.
Where some of the older guys get a little bent is some of these younger kids don't realize how seedy the craft of tattooing was back in the day.
Mm,
Now, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but there were, some not so nice guys that were part of this that wound up being big name tattoo artists. And it's just part of the history. Again, is it right? Is it not right? I'm not here to say that, but I'm not going to not cover it because I want, to be all fluffy and happy go lucky. That's his wife, actually, right there, Deb. She's still tattooing. She was
wow.
like a power lifter. She don't look like that no more, but
Of course, that's his wife.
yeah, that's one of the skits where he's
He's a wild boy, man.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah,
Oh, wow. This guy, that's amazing, man. That guy
yeah.
deserves a Netflix special for sure.
And well, so they just wrote a book about him.
Really?
Yeah, it's out. His wife, and another tattoo artist did the book. I haven't read it yet. But his wife Deb, she was on that Soft White Underbelly. She did an episode with those guys.
His
Um,
wife was on Soft White Underbelly?
yeah, yep.
Really?
Yeah, if you look up Soft White Underbelly, it'll be like Deb the tattooer or Deb the tattoo artist. That's her.
Usually something ends up like, was she like addicted to anything or something? Like, I thought that guy only did like,
No, no, I mean he does he does some stuff that's not
this guy
uh
looks like a WWF wrestler.
oh yeah, dude, like he used to wear Zuba pants and everything.
Wow.
But you got to figure too is the time frame of when. So that's his wife Deb. She's interviewing Spider Web. He was a really famous tattoo artist, and he's since passed away. But that was they did a lot of like covering of different conventions and stuff like that. And he actually had Mike Tyson's Tigers too.
Man.
Yeah,
Man, what a guy. What a
I had
life.
I think you should definitely watch it. You'll be entertained.
Yeah, man. I'm definitely gonna look into that one. That's amazing. I can't wait to show my wife that one.
Yeah, I mean, I try to take pride in the history episodes that I do. All like the B-roll that I try to put in there is historically accurate as I can get it.
Yeah.
Like I did an episode on George Burchett, who was a big name tattooer in London. I had error time frame pictures. I try to do that as much as possible. Like I'm not just throwing up random B-roll. Like I go out of my way to hunt for error specific, or if I'm talking about a particular place, I try to pull up the actual photos.
Mhm.
So this way people can visualize what I'm talking about. I mean, like I did the Cap Coleman episode. Um, I found one of the original Billboard magazines, which people don't realize because now Billboard is just strictly about music and the charts and stuff like that. But Billboard back in the day was about like circus performers and stage and vaudeville and all that stuff. And I found the actual article in the archives where they talked about Coleman stopping being a part of the circus to go to be a full-time tattoo artist.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Man. Man. Oh, I guess before we wrap up, because I actually wrote it down. Tell me about the carnies. You said carnies were what involvement did they have in tattooing? Were they just getting tattooed a lot or what?
Well, so when I say carnies, I mean I guess like carnival workers, like so sideshows were a big part of this. Like people would get a boatload of tattoos so they could become a sideshow person.
Wow. For
Um,
that purpose.
Even in the like 50s, I mean, there's a famous tattooer. Not a lot of guys like him, but his name was Jack Dracula. Actually, look him up real quick while I'm telling you this story. Wait till you see the picture of this cat.
Do you have a view of him or is he just some guy? Like
No, I haven't done a video on him yet. Like I said, a lot of tattooers don't like him. Um, I
Jack Dracula?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Um, like he tattooed under the cyclone at Coney Island. Like he was a sideshow performer, decided to become a tattoo artist. He's one of those guys that just decided to get covered in tattoos and look like this crazy dude. He's got this tattoo of this mask. It, it looks like the Lone Ranger mask. I mean, it's ridiculous, but he was making money doing, sideshow work. So
Oh, I put Dragula and like all this stuff started popping up.
yeah,
Dracula.
Rob, yeah, yeah. The Great Omi, he's the guy that looks like a zebra. That guy was a military veteran. So, yeah, that's Jack right there.
Wow.
Like, see his face? He's got the
Yeah.
Batman looking mask on.
Yeah.
Crazy dude. A lot of guys didn't like him because he would try to move into areas and try to steal their business. But Great Omi, guy from the UK, he was in the military and had a couple tattoos, and then figured out that he could make money doing the circus stuff, doing like with like Ringling Brothers and stuff like that as the tattooed man. And then like he went overboard and just went full tilt, and George Burchett actually wound up tattooing his whole body with like zebra stripes.
Really?
Yeah, George Burchett talked about like the fact that the Great Omi, OMI, never even paid him for like half the work. He called him the Great Omi, like owe me money. But that's like there's plenty of those types of people as well, because there was even female circus performers and stuff like that. Betty Broadbent was one. She was a very attractive lady that just decided to get covered in tattoos. I talked about Maud Wagner earlier. She was one. Kate Hildebrand. So there's been numerous people throughout the years. There you go. Horace Riddler is his real name.
Jeez.
You know how painful that must have been?
Yeah, man.
Especially back in the day, man, when tattoo machines were running rough, and tattoo needles probably weren't the best,
Right?
to get your face tattooed like that, like under your eyes and stuff, man.
But it's like, like I said, it's like, whatever the tattoo uncovers, like if because I don't know about you, I look at my tattoos and it feels like they've always been there, even when they're like a year old. It feels like it's supposed to be there. And there's something in this guy that he was like, this is supposed to be on me.
Mm-hmm. Well, he self-admittedly was like, hey man, this is my ticket to stardom and money.
See, like he wanted it. So it's like,
like he had like gambling problems and stuff like that, and owed people a lot of money and whatnot. So he just was like, yeah, man, if I get more tattoos, I'll make more money at the circus. There's there was a Victorian era guy, Captain Constantinus.
Wow.
He had, and that was the other cool thing, is like Captain Constantinus, right? They all had these crazy stories on how they got the tattoos. So it wasn't like with him, it wasn't like he decided to go to this tattoo artist and get tattooed. He talked about like being a part of, I forget what war it would have been. I wanted to say Boer War, but I don't know if that's right.
Okay.
And he was stuck stranded on this island, and these dudes held him down and tattooed him every day for like a week. And that's how he got all the tattoos. And it was like they would make up these crazy stories in order to like be a selling point, because the more outrageous the story was, the more people wanted to go in and see him. I mean, if you pull a picture of him up, they actually had guys that were like anthropologists and stuff like that that said that his tattoos were accurate to what he was saying.
What's
that
his name?
doesn't like Captain Constantinus.
Okay, Captain Constantine.
Um, but like his tattoos were like accurate for the area that he was in, and they don't know like there was some questions of, was this true? Was it not true? So that there was a lot of stuff that was like left open to interpretation. There was another girl, and I can't off the top of my head think of her name, but she made up a story about how she was in the Wild West, and she got captured by Indians, and they tied her to a tree, and the Indians tattooed her, and that's how she got tattooed, and she was covered in tattoos. So the story was just as much as of a selling point as the actual tattoos themselves. Yeah, there you go. That's him.
Man, that is wild. I wish I could see that guy closer. Whoa.
Yeah, there's better pictures of him. If you do like an image search, you'll see. I mean, obviously they're not actual pictures, but there's better, shots of him.
Yeah, bigger. That's wild.
He was with, I think he was with like the Barnum and Bailey.
Oh yeah,
for a while. Yeah. Yeah. Barnum's Americana Museum, 1842. There you go.
Wow. This is nuts. Just thinking about, yeah, I'm not finding too many pictures of him, but yeah, just crazy. Just to think that that's the fact. The only reason I wanted to look this guy up is because you're saying that some people were seeing that it was actually possibly true, and that's such a wild story to hear.
Mhm.
But who knows? Who knows? Was it true? Wasn't it true? And I guess that's where the whole Laura things comes in, and what makes. And it's funny because as we were talking, we're talking about how the story is what matters. Like for us to this day, the story is what matters the most. The story of the tattoo, and it's like the tons, even before they understood that was true.
The episode I did on Bert Grim, I talk about how he talked about tattooing Pretty Boy Floyd. He swore up and down that he did it. His son Wes has a museum and has the original stencils and stuff like that, where his dad apparently wrote on the back, "This is the tattoo I did on Pretty Boy Floyd." Now, there were people that questioned whether that was true or not, but I also found Pretty Boy Floyd's arrest records that talked about him having a tattoo of a rose in no man's land tattoo. So, I came to the conclusion that was probably true.
Yeah. No, that would be proof enough, I think.
Right. But, like, again, it's, he was a good storyteller. That was part of his lore. So I think at the time people thought, well, maybe is it true? Is it not true? Who knows?
Yeah, true.
But, if it's on his arrest record of when they finally pinched him, it seems to me like it is.
Yeah. Man, this has been a great conversation. I knew it would be, because I haven't got to talk to anybody about tattooing. I've always just been watching like Vice documentaries, different documentaries about tattooing and stuff. And yeah, man, thank you so much for talking about this stuff. Really,
thank you for having me, man. I like I said, I don't know everything about tattooing, and I never want to try to be an expert, but I do try my best to do as much research as I possibly can. And if I said anything incorrectly today on this interview, please don't come at me. It was a mistake. I tried my best.
Yeah, don't be tattoo nerds, okay? Just relax. Let them talk.
I appreciate it though.
Yeah, man, me too. Yeah, it's I really do appreciate it. Your place for tattoo culture, tattoos in review. I'm gonna put a link in the description when this whole thing's out. Any other links you want, let me know. I'll throw them in there too. But this is the YouTube channel, guys. Definitely subscribe to this. Check it out, because yeah, I don't know. I love tattooing. I know it's like you said, it's like a niche thing. A lot of people, but like, I don't know. For me, it's like super interesting, and I need more tattoos, and I'll be getting more soon, very soon. I think I'm trying to like save real estate in case I do this show idea that I want, because I want to go like, you know, all 50 states, 50 tattoos. I want a lot of them to be on my arms. I'm trying to save my calf. I'm trying to save at least one of my calves for my kids. I really want my
Okay.
kids. I want them to make like, you know, the little dumb pictures that kids make.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to take those pictures and then get them tattooed on me and just have like a leg of like just their stuff, you know?
Right on.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking to do for that. We'll see. We'll see what they end up drawing, you know?
I definitely appreciate you bringing me on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm just gonna sign off, but stay here, and I'm just gonna stop recording, guys. That is it. Tattoos. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, it's one of those episodes where it's just like, you know, this is just a thing that I like. You know, I gotta do it the way of Rogan. All right, guys, I'm out.